Good morning, good evening, or good day, and welcome to the Z2Z podcast, the home for Xbox achievement hunters and gamerscore junkies. I'm your host, Brandon Freeman. Thank you so much for listening. At Z2Z, we love gaming and, in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining gamerscore. We do news, reviews, and interviews. If it's about achievements, we'll unlock it. This week's show, we look to answer the question, what is a good gamerscore? Can you be considered a good scorer, or are you just a filthy casual? We also get into the constant struggle of life and gaming balance, and our listener section is filled to the brim with content. Can we keep up with the madness? You can find show notes for this show as well as previous shows on our website at z2z.com. This is episode 16. You can also contact us with questions or comments on Twitter. That's at Z2Z, ZEDTOZED, or email us directly at contact@z2z.com. Today's show is brought to you by the achievement Worst Job in the Kingdom from the game Sunset Overdrive. This is a special holiday-themed achievement for April Fools. This is a 1-point achievement for replaying the floating garbage mission and completing it under par. What is par, you ask? Well, some people think it is scoring over 50,000 points, and others think it's less than 15 minutes. Some people think simply replaying the mission is enough, and one guy met all 3 of those conditions, and it still didn't work. But that likely is more of those common done unlocking issues. No one's quite sure, but a follow-up secret achievement pops immediately afterwards for 199 points called Fizzy Says April Fools. Is the joke related to the unlock conditions and not knowing what they are? Or is it an internal game joke from Fizz Corp having you clean up their garbage? Well, suffice it to say, this pair of achievements has a ridiculously high true achievement score, and barring any glitches, should be simple points. Special thanks to developer Insomniac Games and publisher Microsoft Studios for that foolish achievement. And if you, our fantastic listeners, have a suggestion for an achievement sponsor, you gotta let us know. You can contact us through our Facebook page, Twitter, of course, that's at Z2Z, ZEDTOZED, email contact@z2z.com, or you could even put it in a podcast review. Today, I'm joined by my fantastic co-hosts. Right off the bat, there's a fantastic for you. We've got Terrigan. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And we've also got Crandy. How are you this evening?
I'm doing all right. I'm a little excited.
What are you excited about?
There's some new Crystal Pepsi things that popped up.
Let's hear about it.
Well, as you know, I like Crystal Pepsi. I've
Who
talked
doesn't?
about this on the show before. So, Pepsi's been silent for months since their promotional batch. But on eBay today, something surfaced. There is what appears to be a retail bottle of Crystal Pepsi. Single bottle, that's it. Just one. But it expires in June, not in March. The promotional batch expires in March, which means this was produced later. So I've tweeted it to Pepsi, and I'm like, hey, what's up, guys? Where'd this come from?
The jig is up.
Where'd this come from? You can't ignore me forever, because they've been ignoring me. I tweet them all the time.
This is right up there with JFK assassination conspiracy level stuff.
Crystal Pepsi conspiracy.
That's what I'm hearing right now.
See, it's just the fan base is dedicated.
Apparently. I was thinking you'd get something that expired in 1996.
Well, those do exist, and from what I've seen, they taste. My understanding is I don't have one; they're a little pricey. So my understanding is they taste pretty much like Crystal Pepsi. They have a little bit of carbonation in them, but then they have this kind of weird chemical aftertaste, and then you throw up 3 minutes later.
Yeah, that is, if you actually want to know what that is, that's sodium benzoate. That is a preservative, and what happens is under long temperature spikes, so storage conditions where it is hot for a long period of time, like a warehouse, that actually will turn into benzene, which is a very, very harmful carcinogenic chemical that is just terrible for you. Now, I think there was like some issues with some like Diet Cokes and stuff out in like the Desert War, where or Desert Storm, Shield, whatever you want to. Every mission that's been out there, it's been so hot in storage that like they've been getting these spikes in benzene and their sodium benzoate. But for all you weirdo naturalists, organic people, normally sodium benzoate is super, super safe and not a problem, and it's quite an effective antimicrobial.
You see, Freem, it's the artificial sweetener that's making people sick. It's not. It's not the benzene.
Okay. All right.
So gotcha. Would that also turn it brown?
The artificial sweetener?
No, the thing that makes you sick. Would that also turn it brown? Because all of the 20-plus-year-old ones are brown.
Yeah, and that's likely an oxidation reaction with the sugar.
Okay.
That the sugar is browning and decomposing, and so you get a Gilliard reaction, I believe is what they're called.
Interesting.
Anyway, Science Corner.
So would you recommend
the drinking Science Show?
if I was able to get a 20-year-old Crystal Pepsi, would you recommend drinking it? Just one.
You'd be fine drinking one. It might make you sick. It would probably taste disgusting. For the novelty of it, you're not going to die. I mean, you've drank worse, I'm sure.
There's plenty of people on YouTube who've drunk them and not died. So
yeah,
if anyone's listening,
I've seen people drinking hand sanitizer to get drunk. Like, that's a total level of commitment. I've can't believe.
Seen rubbing alcohol. That's a good one.
Yeah,
it's real. They get sick real quick.
Methylated spirits.
Just terrible.
Yeah, I think wasn't that the history with methylated spirits? They actually they methylized it or did something to it specifically so that people wouldn't buy it and drink it.
Yeah, no, I mean that's what our like denatured alcohol here.
Yeah.
They have to put a chemical in it so that it is poison and disgusting, and people are like, "Oh, it's ethanol, yeah, 100% booze, baby." And you're like, "No, it is like the worst. It is used for manufacturing chemicals. Like you cannot drink this stuff." Actually, here's a funny story. So I work in science, the science field, and there was a kid, and he was like, he was in the lab doing laboratory type stuff, and he got a cut on his hand. And so he kind of looked over at us and he's like, "Hey, I could like just pour alcohol on this, right, to disinfect it." And it's like, yeah. And so then he grabs methanol instead of ethanol, and he's like, "Well, it is an alcohol." I'm like, "Technically it is too. It's also incredibly dangerous, and you don't want to put that anywhere near your skin." And he's like, "No, it's like the same thing." So
yeah,
just because
alcohols are all the same, right?
Right. Yeah. No, don't worry about it. Idiot.
So if anyone's listening, just to put this out there, if anyone on the podcast wants to send me a 20-year-old Crystal Pepsi, I will drink it.
Drink it on Twitch.
I'll drink one.
Whilst playing Dark Souls and Syndicate at the same time.
I could be really hardcore and drink 20-year-old Crystal Pepsi and play Dark Souls. I mean, that sounds like a good evening.
Every time Freem says fantastic or you die in Dark Souls, you have to take a drink. You drink your 20-year-old Crystal Pepsi.
I will not drink a 2-liter. You can send me a 2-liter, but I won't drink it. I'll drink some of it. I won't drink all of it.
Well, before we move into that, what would you be drinking it out of? Do you have a mug of the week this week that you want to highlight?
I do have a mug of the week. I have my favorite. This is one of my favorite mugs, and it's an orange, kind of an orange and purpley pink kind of contrast on the back with palm trees that are black, but when you put hot drink in it, they turn white.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And I love the look of it. It's very cool.
Fancy.
So, and out of that mug, I'm drinking this week some black apricot tea, and it's very delicious, and it comes from a local place that I suspect may deal drugs also, in addition to tea, which really is a good front. I mean, if you're dealing drugs, you can just pack up a little tea can, and there you go. Yep. But there's so it's a tea house. It's not just a tea store, so it's like a tea house. And I go there.
Yeah, when do we become Breaking Z?
Yeah, right.
And
I'm just picturing Crandy with a freaking hookah.
See, it's not quite that obvious, but
okay.
See, because when I go in there, like, it's not dead, but they don't really sell anything other than tea. So they just have your tea, and you pay $5 and you sit down for 2 hours and drink tea. So like they've got a couple cookies and like some steamed buns because it's like an Asian tea house.
Okay.
But that's it. And like people aren't really buying like a ton of that stuff. And people usually just get like one pot of tea, and there's very often like maybe one or two other people in there when I go. But all this weird stuff happens. Like people come in the door and then they leave, and they come back in and they leave. And people just come off the street and walk into the back and then never come out. So they just go.
I'm more on the massage side of it now that you got me thinking.
I don't know.
Something.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Something's going on there. But the weirdest thing. So of all the weird things that have happened, this one was the weirdest. So those baby dolls you get for kids with like the cloth bodies and the plastic limbs.
Yes. Cabbage Patch, right?
Maybe,
oh no!
I don't know.
Yeah, just I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, you can get you see them all the time.
Yeah.
And so somebody came in with one of those, and it had no clothes on. So they come straight in. They don't stop at the front at the counter. They just go straight into the back with this baby doll. Then they come out, no baby doll. I don't know. You could put some drugs in that baby doll. So that's a weird place here, and I'm not going to name it. But so
because you won't get your tea anymore.
I know, and they have good tea. I don't want them to shut down. They got some good tea. So that's my long mug of the week this week.
All right.
Fantastic. Well, so we had also talked about doing our Twitch streaming while drinking our Crystal Pepsi. Well, what we anticipate, so I mentioned last week, we have an official date that we are going to do our Dark Souls Twitch stream. It's going to be April 23rd. That's likely going to be 10 p.m. Central Time, I think, is when I'll be able to get on. I'll see if I can move that any earlier. I have to run it by the boss.
That's fine. That's fine by me, Krim.
Yeah, right. It's perfect. Mid-afternoon for you. All the Australians will love it. East Coasters, maybe not so much. West Coasters, that's right in your wheelhouse. Right after dinner.
It's okay for me.
So April 23rd is going to be the day. And of course, it'll be saved for posterity because, we want to relive that over and over. But that will be my
absolutely. Dark
Souls Twitch stream. Now, Crandy, you've suggested maybe you want to do some twitching.
Yeah, so I've got the Syndicate bug again. It comes around about once a year, and I really enjoy Syndicate a lot. So
I think there's a cream for that.
Maybe might have to formulate one with Crystal Pepsi or something. But so I've gotten pretty good at it over the years, and I think I've wanted to attempt this for a while, but I think I might actually do it now that I finished Graw and all. Got to say Graw a few times in the show. And I want to try and beat the co-op campaign by myself. Single player. No extra characters, just one character, one death, it's over. So I think I might do that and stream it because it seems like a fun thing to stream. Additionally, just on the topic of Syndicate, there's kind of something cool that I came across today. You'll probably remember the club scene. It's kind of one of the most memorable parts of the game. And the music in the background, I looked up the composer of that music, and it turns out it was actually his last composition before leaving the games industry. But he mentioned that the version that made it in the game was kind of made late at night on a whim, and then ended up getting in and it didn't get changed. So he has posted what he considers the finished version on his SoundCloud. So that's kind of cool for anybody that liked that scene, remembers that scene, to kind of go check it out. So we'll have a link to that in the description. So yeah, I always like that. Yeah, the show notes.
Yeah, awesome.
Nice.
Not
All right.
YouTube.
Well, one thing I do also want to mention in terms of community events, so those of you who are familiar with my history have known I was part of the Achievement Hounds podcast community show for a while. And I think, did we mention on this show that the most of the community show is wrapping up at episode 100?
I think we have, yeah. The Griffey is finishing up on 100, and the 90 finished up a few episodes ago as well.
Yeah. So I reached out to Griffey, and I think we're going to get the band back together. So on April 17th, I'm going to go and jump on their show for a one-time episode 100 kind of let's say goodbye kind of party type thing. And whether or not the show continues after that, we'll see. But
Don't
certainly,
forget the Crystal Pepsi.
Certainly, Griffey and I will send it off in style. So
Awesome.
Keep your eyes and ears out for that one. Now, Terrigan, how about your goals? Have you had mentioned last show you were interested in your 300K achievement?
Yeah.
How's that coming along?
Well, I haven't actually done much work towards 300 this week, but we'll get to that in a recap. But yeah, had a few suggestions. Actually, all of the suggestions I'd already sort of had on my sort of short list of achievements to look for. The Albino Kid posted on the blog just saying or suggesting the 300,000 points achievement in Pac-Man Championship Edition on Windows Phone. Now, I had sort of looked at that one, and I kind of whilst it certainly fits the theme, it's not quite the sort of game or achievement that I'd want to celebrate a 300k milestone with. So it was a good suggestion, but not quite where I wanted to go. McLovin Legend mentioned the As Easy as 1, 2, 3 from Halo Master Chief Collection, which is for completing the Halo 4 campaign under par time. That one's currently my top, my front runner as the achievement I want to do, because it takes a bit of work to get through the entire campaign under par. So it's a high ranked achievement and has the whole easy as 1, 2, 3. It kind of makes sense. The other one there was a possibility. This was actually second on my list was the 300 Club achievement from Rocket Bowl. My only sort of concern about that one is, again, it's Rocket Bowl. Do I really want to celebrate my 300k with Rocket Bowl? So I'm leaning towards the Halo Master Chief Collection one at this stage, but we'll see if there's any others that pop up.
For sure, keep them coming. Absolutely. What about your weighted leaderboard? How's that coming along?
There's been a bit of back and forth in the discussion on that one. This is in the site wishlist forum on True Achievements. Quite a lot of people actually really like the concept of it, and with a bit of discussion, there's been a little bit of sort of there's one person in particular who's sort of a little bit against the idea and sort of thinks it should be weighted a bit differently. We're sort of discussing that, and then that's a possibility. But I do like the simplicity of the particular suggestion, which was just take gamer score or TA multiplied by completion, just to sort of weight people based on how much work they've actually done to get their gamer score, so to speak. But yeah, I'd certainly like to get some more votes on that if people like the suggestion. And yeah, the link for that will be in the show notes as usual.
That's awesome. Yeah, for sure. Now, the last piece of kind of housekeeping so I recently pre-ordered Quantum Break and got myself a Alan Wake American Nightmare code. So we're going to host another giveaway for that fun title. So keep your eyes on our Twitter feed for that. I believe, right? Or is we doing that through somewhere else?
Yeah, that'll be on Twitter. I'll get
Perfect.
a Gleam thing for it and post it on there.
Yeah, so we'll announce it via Twitter. You don't actually have to be on Twitter to join those. Generally,
nope. Hang out on Twitter all day.
Yeah,
Do what I do.
Well,
and just sit there and watch Twitter.
The Doom contest I set to mandatory Twitter, but I don't have to do that, so we can change it.
Okay. Yeah, we're still experimenting with that, so yeah, we'll see.
We got so much good stuff to give away. We just don't know how to do it. We're learning. It's early yet. This is only episode 16, so we'll get there.
Only. Come on, that's a lot of episodes.
It actually is. When you put it in context, it's 4 months. I mean, that is pretty legit.
I know, and we haven't missed one yet. That's pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, let's talk about what we've been playing this week. I'm gonna go first because it is pretty short and sweet. I scored 0 achievements this week.
Wow.
It's this is a big goose egg for me because I have been ridiculously hot and heavy in Destiny right now with the announcement of the April 12th update coming up. Just the fun things that they're going to have, like 1-to-1 infusion and the new Prison of Elders, up in the light level. Like I want to get pretty much get this thing taken care of. And so I've been putting a lot of work into it. My Warlock, like I mentioned last show, is coming along nicely. And I pretty much spent all week on the 100.io. It's like a Destiny matchmaking website. It's fantastic. And I've met a ton of cool people on there. And so I've pretty much been raiding all week. I've gone on 4 raids this week and did 2 of the challenges, found all my calcified fragments. I am 1 mission away, which I'm going to complete tomorrow night, to getting the Touch of Malice, which that's an achievement. I do technically have an achievement for finishing, the Echoes of Oryx quest, but if you played Destiny, you know that typically for many of their achievements, you have to go into the settings and log out your character and log him back in so you can connect to the Destiny servers, and then a bunch of achievements pop. So and they'll have timestamps, so if you've got achievements that don't pop and you want to save them, that's a great way to do it, because then you can load up a bunch at one time at a specific time, but all the timestamps work out.
That's assuming they don't pop during the game. At any rate, I've sort of had. I found it was a bit hit and miss. Some would unlock during the game, and some would not.
Right, you cannot plan for it. I wouldn't plan on it, but if you unlock an achievement and it doesn't pop, then you've got it stored essentially. So I've been playing a lot of Destiny.
The same would go for the 360 version. There, you can always anything you earn on the one version, or vice versa, the 360 version, you can always pop on the other title just by simply logging in on the other platform.
Yeah. So aside from those, I think the only one that's going to remain open will be the raid on hard. And what I'm going to do is just wait and get a bunch of gear and over level, and then play it on hard. And so if I get up near 330, 335, and I play a 310 to 320 raid, hey, that should be a pretty cakewalk. Now I'm going to try the hard raid on Sunday. One of the groups that I met up with, they want to give it a shot, first run for all of us. So I don't know if I'll be able to get to it, and I'll circle back on this conversation with one of our Twitter or friend feed questions. But that's been it for me this week. I've technically made progress. I'm in good shape on Destiny. I've scored 0 gamer score. So, Sheridan, do you have anything that you put up this week?
Well, it's actually been a pretty quiet week for me as well, because I went away on a holiday for about 3 days during the week. But at the start of the week, just to finish off the scoring period for the Great True Achievements scoring contest, I finished off Monopoly Plus on the Xbox 360. So that was a good 600 odd points, which you can get pretty quickly. I think it took about an hour. And then I played nothing for about 3 or 4 days, and I needed to get some points on quickly because we were sort of dropping down the leaderboards in this week for the G-Task. So I loaded up 3s. Now, last week you mentioned that there was a solver out there, so I actually did a little bit of digging, and I found another solver which is quicker or a bit better than the one that you mentioned. You were saying it was the one you used would start to get really slow after a certain point, and also entering the values was a bit painful. So the one I found was actually it's all text driven, and it's got a much faster AI. And all you need to do is actually, essentially, you can sometimes just get away with typing one number for the change. So I started using that, and I unlocked, in the space of about 45 minutes, I unlocked 3 achievements in that for 1,337 points. which
Neat.
Yeah, so that prompted me to post to the Twitter feed for True Achievements, just saying 3 achievements in 3s for elite points. Do I need to say any more?
So badass.
It's also worth noting that this week, the bonus on the individual side is for doubling your ratio from the previous week. So those 3 achievements in 3s really helped me along that path as well, because I think they were something like a 2 ratio, then a 5 ratio, then a 9 ratio, or something like that. So I think I've got that one in the bag. I also played a little bit more of Tachyon Project, but I didn't want to go too far in that because the achievements are fairly low ratio, which will will go against my plan to try and get that bonus on the individual side. And that's about it for me. What about you, Crandy?
I've had a pretty slow week too. This is just a slow week for all of us. I've been busy with school, and I was working on some other stuff, but I'll start with games. Talk a little bit about last week too, I guess. I played a little bit of Kane and Lynch Japan. I'm playing that in co-op by myself because I don't have anyone to play it with. And I kind of got stuck, so I stopped playing that.
Did you end up getting the leaderboard achievement in that one already? Or
Yeah, I'm done all of the Kane and Lynch leaderboard stuff more than once. I've helped out a couple times with some other people going for it. And yeah, so I just have the campaign left on that to finish off. I just haven't done it because of Raw.
Yeah.
my excuse for everything I haven't done yet. I played a little bit of Perfect Dark Zero. I'm trying to get my last 5 points in that for the completion of Rare Replay. That's it. 5 more points in Perfect Dark Zero, and I'm done.
Wow.
Unfortunately, those 5 points mean beating the entire campaign on the next hardest difficulty that is punishingly not fun and brutally difficult. So I'm into the point of Perfect Dark Zero where it is not really fun anymore. Which is a shame because the game's pretty fun. It's just excessively difficult in a not fair way. That's kind of my feeling about it. Basically, I feel like it puts more emphasis on memorizing where every enemy is and just punishes one mistake with, like, if you make one mistake, even on the second hardest difficulty, that pretty much is going to cost you your run in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I think I remember trying to get through a bunch of the levels, and I think I think it was like a single death or something like that on the first level, and I get through. You have to memorize every single enemy, know where they're going to come from, do everything right, and then you get to like the last bit, which happens to also be the hardest bit in the level, and then you muck up one thing, dead. And of course, you can't practice it until you get there. Nope. And there's no checkpoints. Yeah.
Well, the earlier difficulties have checkpoints. Once you get to Perfect Agent, they're gone.
Yep.
So Perfect Agent, Dark Agent, no checkpoints. I suspect Perfect and Dark Agent are basically the same. Like, just looking at the ratios on the achievements, they're very close. And it really can't get much harder because maybe you can make 2 mistakes. And you can still make it if you're lucky. Actually, no, that's not true. There are checkpoints for boss fights. That's it. I don't know if that's on Perfect Agent, but
it was still brutally difficult.
My biggest issue is not so much the difficulty, even it's just the punishment for mistakes. The levels are too long.
Yeah.
Like, if the levels were half the length, it would be okay. But when you have to memorize a level that takes 20 to 30 minutes, and you can't make a mistake on that level, or maybe make one mistake, that's too much. It's too hard. It's not satisfying.
Is there anything else you can get in Perfect Dark besides that? Or is
nope,
that really
that's it. I tried doing one co-op mission on Perfect Agent with a friend who had completed it, and it didn't pop.
Oh.
So you have to unlock it first by beating Perfect Agent to unlock Dark Agent before you can pop the beat 1 mission on Dark Agent. So that's it. I've done everything but this achievement, so that's what I have to do, which is unfortunate.
But
then
still,
I have to do the whole thing in co-op.
But still,
Rare Replay
completion.
It's close. It'll happen soon. Then I played a little Guitar Hero Live. Horrible game. Every time I play it, I'm reminded how much I hate it. I might even hate it more every time I play it. I might do that one on Shovelware Cemetery this week. we'll see. Then I downloaded the new season of Killer Instinct. The new characters seem pretty hard to play so far. Not necessarily
play as or hard to play against.
Oh, it could be both. I haven't really played against anyone yet. Nobody's gotten good at them yet, as far as I can tell. I didn't play a lot of rank, though.
Probably worth mentioning that Shadow Jago is back.
Yes, Shadow Jago is back as part of the Ultimate Shadow Jago bundle that also includes Jago that you probably already have, but he's still only $10. It's not that bad. He's a good character, too. He's still my favorite. So yeah, I was playing around with the new characters a bit. They changed combo assist. So now I'm going to have to learn how to play properly. Maybe. Or more properly.
Okay.
So they changed it so before you could just start hitting buttons and it would put you into a combo and automatically link them together, which was perfect for me because I can do everything but link combos. Something about that just doesn't work with my brain. And that's what always held me back from starting it. Then when they added that, and I was like, this is perfect. I can do everything I want without having to link combos. So I got to killer tier using combo assist. So it puts you at a disadvantage, but I can do everything else. So it was okay, leveled out. But they changed it. So now you have to hold the D-pad toward your enemy when you're doing normal attacks to start the combo assist, which throws me off. I think once I start playing a little more, I'll get it, or just actually learn how to link combos. But yeah, I was not doing too well with that update. I am, however, looking forward to the reset because now I can go back to bronze tier and get all my ranked wins. I'll just lose before I get promoted, so I can get my 20 wins with all my characters in bronze before I go back to killer. Because I already got my killer achievement, so I don't need it anymore.
Makes sense.
And then I finished up with some Gra, trying to finish that up. I believe next week we're doing the special Gra episode. We got some cool guests probably on the show. Cool guests, not guests, just one guest.
Yep, if it all comes together, it'll be a pretty awesome thing. So yeah,
it should be a pretty cool show. Hopefully get that done. Finish up Gra.
Well, they have to.
Well, of course. I mean, I'm close. I'm almost done. Just got to get the co-op crew together, and that's pretty much it. Then the other things I was doing, I wasn't gaming that much this week, but I was working on a couple projects. I mentioned a few weeks ago I got a Model M2 keyboard, and I was really excited. Because I'm a big fan of IBM M-Series keyboards. And I finally got my PS2 to USB adapter. I put it all together. I cleaned all the keys. I changed the capacitors. And I think I broke the circuits on the membrane.
Oh no, catastrophe.
So I've got a column of keys that are dead. So I'm hoping I just didn't line the membrane up properly when I put it back together, but I'm thinking I probably snapped one of the circuits. So I got to take it apart again and see if I can find that. But I was also working on my joystick project. That's pretty cool. I'm making a joystick, 3-stick joystick for twin stick shooters and everything else. But I realized this was, I guess, been ongoing for a couple of years, probably.
Yeah, we first started talking about it at least a year and a half ago.
Yeah, it's been quite some time. But I started that because I realized there's no arcade style stick for twin stick shooters. So I was like, okay, well, I looked all over, they don't exist. So I was like, okay, well, what do? You build your own. So many parts and design changes because I messed up the sizes on the blueprint, and it's all coming together. And I just have to wire it, and it'll be done. So maybe I'll even make a video. Maybe I'll make a video of that. I don't know. We'll talk about it on the show when it's done. It's pretty cool.
Cool.
And that was it for me. Lots of projects, not so much gaming, but that's okay.
Well, we happen to have lots of listener feedback, and so we should probably get started on that. It is awesome. How, literally I put a friend feed out there and it just exploded. It was unbelievable the amount of feedback we got, and all week it's just been a really great week for the podcast. The interview with Smirnov last week was fantastic, so big thanks to him. He actually gets a shout out for go figure. He tweeted his own interview, but we totally appreciate that because we got a ton of new followers from that. Hopefully you guys are listening to the follow-up show after the Smirnov interview and are enjoying it. So, yeah. We also have a Twitter feed from the T-Virus Tyrant at the T-Virus Tyrant. Must know how much I like zombies. He says, calling out to all achievement hunters, great podcast, guys. Gets me through the day at work. Really useful info and tips. Keep it up. So thank you very much, our Zed friend out there. And I also want to mention, so in our last episode, we had talked about prominent gaming figures that we would love to talk to. And, of course, on top of my list, Phil Spencer, Major Nelson. Those guys are... maybe the white whales that I want to go after.
Yeah, Aaron Greenberg would be another good one as well. He was
but he wasn't on Handy Darkness's call-out list.
That's true. That's true.
Wait, while we're on the topic of this, I want to see, because I wasn't here last week, I didn't get to put mine in. I only have one off the top of my head. I want to have Lorne Lanning on our show. He's the guy behind Oddworld.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
Maybe one day.
So Handy Darkness, get on that one too. But he sent a tweet out throwing Phil Spencer and Major Nelson on there saying, Gamerscore junkies and achievement hunters want to hear your voice. Contact at z2z.com to arrange, please. Now, I'm not sure that's how that works. Something tells me that their media people aren't going to reach out to us, but certainly gets us on the grid, so thank you. We'll see what we can do.
I mean, we'd be a pretty good place if their media people are reaching out to us.
That would be pretty awesome.
I mean, that'd be pretty cool.
Something tells me that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But
like I said,
never know.
Baby steps.
They said Crystal Pepsi wouldn't come back. It's going to happen.
So
wait a minute. Are you saying Microsoft's in on the Pepsi conspiracy?
It could be. They could be in cahoots, okay?
So we had a bunch of questions, actually, this week. So I'm going to start with John Schuler at callsign Iceman. He says, just discovered your podcast. Really enjoyed the few episodes I've listened to. Question, any tips for Dragon Mania Legends? You guys actually play Dragon Mania Legends?
Can't say I have, no.
I've seen, so I think X Towers just finished them all up. I do recall, and we can link to it, but the Achievement Hounds podcast went through a relatively lengthy explanation of Dragon Mania Legends probably 4 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe it was in the fall. But I know Kyle Worley at Moronic Cow, he's not at Moronic Cow, is he? Anyway, Moronic Cow, he had a very lengthy explanation on how he went about Dragon Mania Legends.
I've heard it's good. See, I haven't played it. I just have some friends that have played it. I've heard it's good to have a friend that has a very high-level dragon. I'm not sure why. I've just heard that that's a good thing. So maybe find some people on TA that have completed it or something and get them to add you.
Well, I think the achievements come relatively easy, except there's like 2
I think
or
there's
3
one that's like win
really,
1,000 fights or something that just takes forever.
There's a few of the grindy
huge
ones.
pains.
They're probably Facial Lafleur seems to be all over those particular ones. He might be someone to give some tips as well on that.
I think Damien plays that one too.
Spazpol.
Yeah.
All right, so we can throw it out to the listeners if they've got some tips, and we'll see if we can hunt down that episode of the Achievement Hounds as well and put that into the show notes.
For sure. So yeah, we got a question from Montana97. He says, each of you two and myself, what are your top 5 reality TV shows? And don't lie, you watch them with the curtains closed. So for me, a 5's a lot, and but I think number 1 on my list, and you're gonna have to let me explain, okay?
Uh-oh.
The Bachelor / Bachelorette. And here's why.
Oh, is that the one where you get to play games?
That is the one I get to play games. My wife loves them, and so when they're on, it means I can come downstairs and play video games an hour and a half, hour early, and it is great. So that is like my number one reality show because it totally occupies my family earlier, right when the kids go to bed, uninterrupted video game time. I'd be remiss to say that I miss the old like Double Dare or like Legend of the Hidden Temple, like those old Nickelodeon game shows. Those types of reality shows were, I mean, they were great because you had little kids who like, I mean, they're just not good on camera, but they just try their best. They're not, you know, they're like athletic enough just to get themselves into trouble. You know, climbing the aggro crag and stuff. Oh, it's just fantastic. So I remember those shows as a kid. I'm lumping those into reality TV shows as well. Do you guys have anything off the top of your head?
I find all reality TV to be completely cringeworthy and avoid it like the plague. So even with the curtains closed, I wouldn't watch it. I don't know if it really counts, though, but you could possibly throw Air Crash Investigation into the mix. I don't know if you'd really count that as a reality show, but it's kind of the... I find the sort of mystery / forensics works that goes into that kind of stuff interesting. But yeah, it's probably not technically a reality show.
Yeah, because I was thinking like Mythbusters. Is that a reality show?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a science show.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I would say that I would say like
Mythbusters.
Bear Grylls' shows are reality shows.
Yeah, I'd call that too.
You know, and it's like they're kind of on the borderline for me. Like I enjoy watching not the celebrity ones; those are garbage. But you know, him out in the woods or whatever. Like, you know that's entertaining. Oh, I got it. I know. Naked and Afraid. You guys watch Naked and Afraid?
No. Never even heard of it.
Oh, my goodness. All right, here's the
I
premise.
watched a couple episodes
Have you?
when I was
They're
in
not
Portland.
terrible.
Yeah.
Here, I'll pitch it to you, Terrigan, all right? Let's see if you greenlight this show. All right, we take two people, a man and a woman, and we put them in a remote location that is absolutely devoid of any sort of amenities or whatever, right? We throw them into the wild. Okay, you with me?
Right.
How about they're totally naked, and they meet for the first time naked out in the wilderness, and they have to survive with nothing but like 2 amenity items that they want. You know, I think they get like 2 or 3. Like, I think everybody always brings like a machete, and I don't know. I have seen somebody bring something stupid. But, like, apparently after, you know, so they spend most of their budget pixelating out all of the, you know, the nudity. You know, there's all the mosaic over it. And there was one time I was reading it was out of some article or something, and they said the camera crew and the director and stuff, you know, who are there, they would actually like, okay, look, you guys, because they have to live there for like 21 days, I think. They have to survive for 21 days in whatever environment they are. Maybe it's not that long, but it's an extended period of time that's significant. And there was a point where like the two were just killing it, and they had like shelter, water, food. I mean, they were set. They just needed to ride out the wave. And the director had to like go to them and say, okay, look, you guys are doing fine. Could you like fashion some sort of clothes because you guys are doing fine? Like, could you maybe just get some leaves or something? Because it's really expensive to spend all this money editing all the naughty bits out of this show. So yeah, Naked and Afraid. I'll throw that on my list. That was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, still wouldn't watch it. Sorry.
What about you, Crandy?
We do Survivor and Big Brother in our house.
Gotcha.
We used to do Amazing Race. Then I don't know, something happened with that show, and it just.
Yeah,
So
I used to do Biggest Loser.
I think
and-
Amazing Race was probably the last one I've actually watched any of, to be honest.
See, the last few seasons, just like we tried, and it's like, no, can't do it.
We were watching the what's the Donald Trump one?
Oh,
Apprentice.
The Apprentice.
The Apprentice. So we were watching the Celebrity Apprentice for a while, and I think that was just mainly because I'm a big fan of Penn and Teller, and Penn Jillette was on on that for a
Oh,
while.
right.
So
Yeah, he
Yep.
did pretty well in that one, didn't he?
yeah, and he came back for a second or another series, and I didn't follow it there though.
I always like Lil Jon on that show. I've only seen a few. I don't know. I just find Lil Jon hilarious.
Oh, he's great.
Just like everything about him is hilarious.
Right? Like, how does he even function in day-to-day life?
Well,
I thought of another one, too, for me. Oh, go ahead.
see, he did really well on that show too. Like
He's got great connections.
He's like really normal.
Yeah.
You always seem really, and that was also hilarious. Like,
Right.
just in contrast with his character, and his character is hilarious. And in contrast with his character is hilarious. And just everything with him is hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know why I think he's hilarious, but
No, I don't either. So I thought of another one, and it's funny because I said 5 seems like too many. I've already said 7. But, so my 7th one, So You Think You Can Dance. I've watched that with my wife for, I don't know, however many seasons. I will say
is that still on?
I dropped off the last 2 seasons. I think we have the season finale of last year, and it was just like, I just can't. It's the same thing over and over again. It's like, it used to really, like, I enjoyed watching that type of dancing, but like, I won't watch. My father-in-law always loved Dancing with the Stars, and I was like, oh my God, that's the worst. I cannot stomach that garbage. But like, So You Think You Can Dance is actually people trying to make a career out of dancing. So it's not, it's not a sideshow. It's more of a talent show. So I approve of that type of thing. I always like reality shows that they're not exploitive. That they're showcasing somebody who's trying to do something with their life and not be like, look at this train wreck.
Well, I guess that's the other side of that too. You mentioned The Biggest Loser. I actually have a really strong objection to that particular show or shows that are based on that sort of thing. One, because they typically show behavior like to the exercise and the food sort of restrictions that they put in place on those shows are actually pretty unhealthy for what they're doing. And a lot of the show seems to be about targeting fat people and laughing at them, and I just can't really get behind that. So I really don't like those particular shows.
Have you ever watched them? I don't feel like they're like that.
No, yeah, maybe it's just the way the ads are projected on TV.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the Australian version is more like that, but yeah.
Could be. I mean, that's you look at an edited show, right? They take 1 week and they put it into a 2-hour broadcast, and it's like, I think you'd be surprised with actually how much food they eat. I mean, because like I look at my diet, and when I started my weight loss thing, and it was like, you're eating 300 calories a meal, and I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. Like, how am I going to even be full? I was pretty full most of the time. It's just because you're eating so frequently and you're riding that burn. And so that's kind of the thing. You're having all these really tiny portions, you're just eating them a bunch. And then how much time they spend in the gym, they probably didn't spend a ridiculous amount of time in the gym, because there's kind of a limit to how much your body can take. And you want to keep pushing it and stuff, but like your burn is only going to be your burn. You'll start producing acids and it'll start breaking down your muscle, and I mean you're not going to build anything in that.
I guess all the advertising for it in Australia seems to be focused on the ways that people are failing, essentially. And look at this person eating this whole thing of ice cream during their off break, or look at these people struggling to keep up with this ridiculously hard exercise course that we've set out for people who are obviously not going to be able to complete this exercise course, and isn't that funny? That stuff really kind of annoys me. But
I wonder, it might. I mean, that just might be Australia. You guys are cruel.
Yep.
We should move on. We
right.
should try to bring this back to video games. So we reach out. We got Kaiba Chaos jumped on my friend feed and said, because when I posted my friend feed, I said, you guys probably haven't even finished 15 yet, but we're going to record 16. Kaiba Chaos said, I did finish episode 15. He was there refreshing the page to download it yesterday. So if there was any sort of sluggishness getting your copy of it, it's because Kaiba was standing there hitting refresh constantly. He was a one-man DDoS.
Damn you.
But he does say...
Just stoked to get the show without me, right?
Right. He said, speaking of crossplay in the last episode, do you think that there's a chance that the stacks will be crossplay as well?
No.
He says it's so hard to find people to do Gears of War 2 in Japan with.
I would say that's almost certainly never going to happen. If it's not already cross-play on release, I mean, particularly when you're talking about Xbox 360 titles, there's a pretty hard restriction in the way that the Xbox Live system works as far as titles with different IDs talking to each other. And so the Gears of War 2 Japan and Gears of War 2 normal, they have a different title ID and they will just never be able to talk to each other. It's just not the way it's set up to work. So yeah, I don't think that's ever going to happen. If they don't share an achievement list on the same platform, then yeah, they won't be cross-platform.
See, I kind of interpreted that comment a little bit differently. I kind of thought it was meant for future titles that have stacks. Are they going to be cross-play to PlayStation, for example? Maybe I'm misinterpreting that as well. But
yeah, new titles that come out on the One, for sure, there's a good chance that they will be. But yeah, for anything that's sort of going backwards, I don't think so.
And I kind of think, too, that they won't be. I think only the international release is going to have it because stacks are very different between PlayStation and Xbox. Either we're going to see a lot of stacks on Xbox, because PlayStation gets way more stacks. I think there's like 3 or 4 versions of Rock Band 4. And that's just Rock Band 4. I think there's like 7 BioShock 2s or something, even more than 360. Yeah, so there's a lot more stacks on PlayStation. And if you have, I mean, unless they all pool together in the same multiplayer, which I kind of don't think they do because they're technically different games. And some games are missing content, particularly the German releases tend to be censored, where, you know, you have like Korea and Japan that are usually localized, not censored, but you still do have censored content. So what if you're playing, I think it's Saints Row German version that's missing like 3 activities.
Yeah.
So what do you do when you want to play that activity with someone? Well, you can't. So I kind of don't think so. But who knows? Never know.
Absolutely. I don't know what to tell you on that one. I personally also think I went on the side of with Terrigan. I didn't think that would happen. I mean, you got the initial question piqued my interest, like, oh yeah, because it's region free now. But that's not what we're talking about. We are talking about localization differences, and that's what dramatically sets us apart. So, afraid not. You're just going to have to learn Japanese and try and get on some friend finder websites.
Not that kind of friend. Okay.
Wait, what?
So we had another tweet from NBA Kirkland just about the GTA SC and UHH and about being at a big advantage if you have a lot of spare time. And he asks, Freem, can you come up with a contest where this is not the case?
Yeah, I'm going to have to think of something. There have been a few contests I've run in the past where it's not necessarily the amount of time. I mean, take my weekly achievement scavenger hunt, for instance. I mean, that's 1, 2, 3 achievements in 1 week that, but it's a casual contest, right? That's just something kind of for fun, nothing crazy, right? If you want to see it, it's on my blog, on TA, trueachievements.com. Anyone's willing to do it. It's just something I try to do every week and gives me a target. So,
see, I actually had an idea for this. I had a little think about it. And what if you had like GTA SC, but you only get to pick 1 hour per week? So you either have something that says start now, and then the timer ticks, and anything scanned in that hour counts.
I kind of like that idea.
You just get 1 hour, but then I guess you could preload it and do a bunch of offline and all pop. But, something along those lines where like, or you have the whole week and then you get to pick a 1 hour window, but then you get into having to have accurate timestamps and all that.
Yeah. What
I don't know, something like that.
It does make
Best
me think.
hour.
It does make me think of it was a competition you ran a little while ago on the Achievement Hounds as well, Frame, where you had a bunch of categories, and people had to get the highest value achievement that would fit those categories.
Yeah, gamer scoregories.
Yeah, so that one, you don't necessarily have to have a lot of time. You just need a bit of time to research and unlock the particular achievements in that one. But it doesn't. It's not about aggregate score or spending a lot of time going through campaigns and so forth. Except if you need those achievements, of course.
Or you could have who puts in the rarest game.
Yeah,
Well, and
That's a
even
fun
I mean,
I'd be all down for that.
the relay
We'd
to some
battle that one.
extent. my achievement relay was not terribly time consuming. It's just your timing is what the problem was. And that one was one person, you made a chain, essentially a big circle, and so one person would unlock an achievement. So my example was if I started and I unlocked the achievement just the beginning, well, the end of the achievement just the beginning ends in a G, so the next person in the line has to unlock an achievement that starts with a G. So if they do going commando, okay, well then O is the next one, and you got to continue the chain that way. And so when it got down to the end, it was Hot Curls and Kez was involved, and Matism. Those three, they were trying to set each other up where you could end a word with an X. And they did so much research at the end so that they would try and be like, okay, there's an achievement here with a box. So if someone sends me a T, I can hit the next person with an X. And I mean, it was like this total meta that came out of that contest that was beyond what I anticipated. But that was cool. And Hot Curls won that one. So there's a few out there. I do like to think of ones because, I don't have a lot of time to game. I mean, I cannot. Even in my wildest dreams, I cannot be competitive in GTA SC. The UHH, it's less. I mean, I'm not going to make it to the end because, the achievements are going to be really difficult. The high ratio ones are really going to set you apart in that contest. Not going to be able to compete in those, but at these cursory levels, these low level things, I could. I put up 11 achievements last week. That was pretty fun. That was cool. I like to cater my contests to that type of casual play because, and we'll talk about it later in this show, not everybody has that much time to game. And so, we're not all, yes, we're all serious gamers, but we have other things going on. So,
other priorities.
Yes, that. So,
unfortunately.
Yeah, right? Oh, it's a huge bummer. We got a tweet here from McLovin Legend, and he says, great episode 14. Can't believe it's been 14 weeks. I have to second that. He says, are you guys as hyped for WrestleMania this weekend as me and Big L? I didn't realize these guys were buddies now. And they like wrestling. We're all doomed.
Did you see Big L's follow-up to that as well?
I don't think I did.
No, he just said, my body is ready.
See,
that must be why they're on sale this week.
I have to give a shout out to Big L because I might be moving to his. Well, I will probably be moving to his state in this summer. Across the country.
You poor person.
So I may have to join the leaderboard.
I hate Big L.
I hate Big L, and I wish I never met him because that may happen. We'll see. Big L might be coming. Not New York City though. Not moving to New York City, but upstate nice. New York is probably where I'm heading to.
Oh my gosh! Speaking of upstate, well, it's not upstate, but you know how Syracuse is in the Final Four this weekend, and they were considered not in the tournament at all. And I read that somebody actually guessed this Final Four. They actually had this Final Four correct. I think there was only one person who had it all correct. Not the rest of the bracket. That's a total disaster. But this Final Four matchup set, and he forgot to put a champion. He had Villanova versus UNC and forgot to pick a winner for the championship game in his bracket. Like, this total genius move of getting the Final Four correct, and he fails in, like, the very last game.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Sports ball.
So yeah, that thing. Sports. What are those?
Is that like WrestleMania?
Is that like those games with achievements sometimes that you can sim?
It's exactly like
those.
that. You don't have to play these ones either.
the ones that delist in 3 days.
Exactly, those ones.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. We'll go ahead, Terrigan. You get the train back on the track.
All right. Right. Mad Eye Pad commented on my friend feed, just asking, what do we think or call a healthy amount of gaming, and is there a point where too much is too much? Yeah, healthy.
That's it.
We could do a whole feature content on it.
We could, yeah. That's probably worth a topic by itself. But I think if you get to the point where it is getting in the way of your work and your relationship, then that is unhealthy. So that's probably would be the basic line. Other than that, yeah, as long as everybody's happy and nobody's getting hurt, just game as much as you like. That's my philosophy, really.
I can be the poster child for what not to do. So this week, like I mentioned, playing Destiny, I have been horribly neglecting my sleep. Been going to bed at like 1:30, having to wake up at 5. So I've been getting about 4 hours of sleep a night, and that's been about 6 or 7 days in a row. And it wouldn't be. I mean, I'm pretty good at 5 to 6 hours of sleep. Like I know that's not enough for my body to function properly, but like I'm awake, I'm alert. 1 cup of coffee, nothing crazy. I don't drink soda, so yeah, okay, I can survive. 4 hours, probably not. And then adding a intense working out on top of that, pretty tired. I will admit today I was incredibly short with my kids, like very not putting up with their crap at all. And that happens, right? I got a short fuse, things get frustrating. That I will directly attribute to lack of sleep, which directly attributes to video game playing. So the other thing is my daughter, so her 5th birthday is coming up. My daughter turned on the alarm to her music. And so you got 2 options when your alarm goes off if you haven't set one. It's either going to go off at noon or it's going to go off at midnight. And guess what? It went off at midnight. And typically I bring the monitor down, but hey, I'm in a raid. I got my headset on. I can't be bothered with monitors and watching my kids. They're asleep. So my daughter's alarm had been going off from midnight to 1:30 a.m.
Oh, no.
with the baby monitor in my room. Well, of course, she's 5. It's one of those video things because she's a terrible sleeper. So my wife is listening to this the whole time, and at 1:30 in the morning, she came down and flipped out. She was not happy that I was still trying to just finish this one last mission. I just needed one last mission to take care of this business. And of course that led into, an argument and whatnot. And it's like, I just want to go to bed because I have to wake up in 4 hours. Not good. That is not a good work-life balance or video game and life balance.
Got hooked on the Destiny.
I did. I'm so close. I'm so close.
It's just one more.
Here's the thing, too. But now
it's
April now, right? And so I got some gaming goals that I'm going to get into and what I want to do for April. And April's looking like a busy month. I think I bit off more than I can chew. I mean, I already failed March, but I don't know. I gotta right this ship, though. So
see, my thing with it is like, I don't know. I'm still kind of. Not that I get to do it that much anymore, but I'm kind of a fan of binge gaming, where it's like I want to sit down and I want to play for like 2 days straight, or like a week. Like the last like real binge game I did was Quake 4. I think I played. My wife was out of town, and it was just me. I think I played for like 8 straight days. I got up. I played Quake
sleep?
No, I slept. I slept and I ate. But I would get up and I would play Quake for like 12 or more. Like 12, 14 straight hours.
Was this just this for the leaderboard achievement, or was this?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Okay.
There's no real Quake playing. This is boosted.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I would just.
That's somehow worse.
Yeah, I would just like I'd put on some music in my headphones and I'd play Quake, and I don't know. I kind of like doing that, but I don't do it a lot because I don't know. I feel like you can binge game in moderation, like you're saying. Like, okay, I'm not going to do that when like it's not just me, because I'm not just going to sit there and play Quake for 8 straight days. Like, when, you know, then it would be like affecting my commitments in life, but it's like, there's no one here, it's just me, I'm not doing anything. Play Quake for 8 days.
Yeah.
And I used to kind of do the same thing, like, well, I mean, I am still in high school, as you all know, because I'm like 12 years old. Because I'm the youngest person here forever.
Just listen to him.
But I would do like usually weekend game binges with my friends. So we'd all get together on Friday night. We'd pick someone's house. We all go there. We pack up our computers. Like some of my friends brought a desktop. Hey, who cares? We got space. It's Canada. Everyone's got space. So yeah, we set up and we're good. We got the mountain of sodas, we got chips, we got the hot dogs and burgers. We're good to go. Just throw them on the barbecue, because that's what you do in Canada. you just play RuneScape all weekend. That's what I do. But it's the same thing, you know. It didn't affect our school. You just do your homework on Sunday or whatever. You know, you go home Sunday afternoon, do your homework, go to school. I think that, you know, that wasn't hurting anyone or anything, so it's fine. But if you had a commitment, don't binge game. Binge gaming's fun. That's what I like. I like binge gaming.
Yeah.
I think I found actually, I think as I get older, it's harder to survive on less sleep. So in my 20s or whatever, I could certainly get away with having a late night playing games at up to 2, 3 in the morning or something like that, and then go to work or whatever. But as I've gotten older, it's gotten harder and harder to do that. So there have been some days with Destiny where I've, you know, stayed up late with some workmates, as it happened, until like 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that, and just have a really bad day the next day.
See, I can't do the no sleep thing. That doesn't work for me. Well, I can, but I don't know. My sleep thing is really weird because a lot of my tiredness comes from when I get up. So I could sleep for like 10 hours, can't get up before 9, and I'll just be dead. I could sleep enough, but I could sleep like 4 hours, get up at 9, I'm good to go. So, I don't know. It's weird. And it's difficult when I have to get up earlier than 9, which fortunately isn't often, but I think that'll change when I have like a normal job and stuff.
Yeah, when you turn 15 or something. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
That's it,
you know,
right?
When I get a job down in the McDonald's, you know.
I'm eating my first lunch at 9.
Yeah, what do you get up at like 5? 5:30?
5:20. Yeah, 5:20, so I can get on the road, so I can beat traffic, because otherwise it'll take me forever.
I had to do, when I worked at Staples, I did one opening shift. It was the worst thing. I think they opened at like 7 a.m. for some reason. I don't know why. Nobody came in. Like, nobody comes into Staples at 7. There's like one person that comes in at 7 and is dead for 4 hours.
But he really needs that something.
Yeah, and it was like you need like a stapler. It's like why are we open at 7 a.m.? But so it's like, you know, I gotta get there. So it's like I get up at like 5. I almost fall asleep on my way to work. I'm like, oh, this is horrible. Never did that again. Probably for the best.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I don't know. I can sleep. I've tried sleeping more. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, the other thing that falls into this for me is the addiction aspect. I mean, you know, I have an addictive personality. That's just my nature. If I get a taste of some sweets, you better believe I'm going to eat a ton of candy. If I'm gambling, I can sit there and gamble. Now, thankfully, I have the willpower to say, I don't have the money to gamble, so it's not a gambling problem. But if you sit me at a table and we're playing cards and I can break even, I will play cards until I pass out. And that's a gambling addiction and not a gambling problem. But I certainly have a gaming addiction, and now it's going into the gaming problem aspect, because regardless if I'm at work or my mind just starts going over to video games, and it's like, hey, I really got to finish this report to hand in by the end of the day or whatever, and it's like
TA's right there.
Exactly. I'll type out a paragraph and I'll be like, I should just go check Twitter. Maybe there's something going on video game related. And it's constantly.
We got some Z to Z comments.
How's my UHH going this week?
Absolutely. I mean, and regardless, even if I didn't have a computer in front of me, still be thinking about it. What am I going to do when I go home? What am I going to, it's just because that's right now, it's what's fueling me. There's that excitement, that passion, and it's, thankfully it's getting warmer out. I'll get to go play outside. I got some sports coming up, coaching my kids' baseball team. Those types of things can fill in this lack of, stuff to do. But in Minnesota winters, when it's cold and crappy, guess what? Controller's my best friend.
See, I got away from winter when I moved to California. Now I'm leaving California. I'm going back to winter. So I'm going to be trapped inside again. I'm going to get the upstate New York winter. I think it's going to be worse. I think it's going to be worse in Canada winter, actually.
I think it'll just be snowier.
See, I was in easy Canada. I was southern British Columbia. Easy winters there.
But they're pros.
I'm seeing air quotes around that. Easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's still winter, but it's it's pretty mild for Canada.
Yeah, good gaming weather though.
Yeah,
there you go.
Let's move on.
Not that I really go outside anyway. Right. I usually just sit in my house all day. But
so with that in-depth downer of a question, let's just take it even further into the depths from Saucy Slingo, Terrigan.
Yeah, this is the question that is always, it's an important one. I think we should really ponder.
This is the breaker right here.
Yeah, so
this will set us apart.
So would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
I think the answer is clear here, and you might disagree, but I think it's clear. A single horse-sized duck. I will not be overwhelmed by 100 small horses. Little things kind of creep me out. Okay. I don't want to be overwhelmed. I want to be able to see. I mean, because even if I can track 20 of them, that's still 80 of these duck-sized horses that can sneak up behind me or run, and they're going to be quick because they're small.
See, you know what I would do? I wouldn't fight it. You got to tame it and ride it. Can you imagine how majestic a horse-sized duck would be?
Not very.
Well, exactly. Although you crandy it, it's an ironic, majestic creature. Okay,
you just give it a badass haircut and it'll be set.
No, not even. Just put on some funny flippers or something. I guess they already have funny flippers. It's a duck.
Wait, you as the rider are wearing the funny flippers?
Well, you could do that too.
They won't bother you. It's oh, he's one of me.
Exactly.
Look at his feet.
Got funny flippers like I do.
Because that's how they think about their flippers too.
A single horse-sized duck.
Look at these funny flippers. They're so good for swimming, but they're just not good for walking.
On top of that, if my duck died, I'd have one gigantic what's duck? I'd be eating the duck.
Yeah.
I'd probably go duck-sized horses, just because I imagine that a horse-sized duck, with the size of its bill and its weight, the amount of damage it could do to you, versus duck-sized horses. Well, what are they going to do? They could bite you and kick you.
It could gently eat out of your hand like ducks do. Ducks are fun. You just got to get some duck stuff that they eat.
That's not fighting one though. I don't know. I think you could probably deal with 100 duck-sized horses easier than you would with a one horse-sized duck, just because the amount of damage one big big duck like that could do. Anyway.
Well, you're just wrong, so
Okay.
that's fine.
Good. Moving on. The Yiddler asks about our intro music, where it comes from, and says it sounds a bit like Sonic and Sega All-Stars. Well, it's possibly related. It's actually by Jake Kaufman, otherwise known as Vert. He wrote it for a game called Mighty Switch Force, and the link and details for that are in the show notes every single week. But yes, he wrote it, and it's an awesome track.
He also gave us permission to use it.
He did, yes. I contacted him, and while it's not official confirmation that we can use it, it's basically an A-OK, and he releases a lot of those songs, and the publisher of that particular game releases a lot of those tracks for use in podcasts and the like. So, yeah, so that was nice of him. Thank you, Jake.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you remember, so there was a evolving conversation on my friend feed last week, and I had refreshed, Big L chimed in, and it was like, yeah, all right, things are moving along. And then all of a sudden, that part of the friend feed turned into a total disaster. Didn't make the air because, it had already been recorded, but let me just run down what happened after the recording stopped, okay? Started with Big L. He says, hey, Fecal, a true fan, listens to the podcast every Wednesday, 1.5 speed, of course. To which Facial LaFleur replied, I tend to listen to half right when it's posted and then fall asleep and then listen to the rest the next day. And I'm not a true fan. I listen out of obligation because I have Tarzan's copy of Arkham City for 14 years. NBA Kirkland, I also haven't finished the last one yet. Facial Floor. You see, Bug Eel, me and N. Beacta Kirkland are in agreement. Kaiba Chaos, no. A true fan listens to the episodes in full every Wednesday at 1 time speed for the full experience. Facial, I listen at 1/4 speed because I can't deal with life for 1 second without these guys in my ear holes. Big L says, who's Tarzan? Weasel Pizza says, I'm assuming it's the co-host with Frimballs and Crangy. He says, yeah, Tarzan is just another name for that one Australian guy. Turok, I think. And he says, Big L, I always thought his name was Charismagon.
Ooh.
What
happened here?
Yeah.
What happened here?
We've entered the weird part of the internet.
We've lost him. We've lost him.
Well, it makes for a good laugh.
So, back on track, barely. I got a private message from Cyanide, I think is how he likes to be pronounced, Cyanide the Third. He says, I've been listening to the show, and by the way, it's great. And he ran this idea by Spaceman, and he knows that we're busy, but he wants a little mention of it, and I don't mind because I think it's a good idea as well. He says we should try and get our old 360 gamer picks on the X1 and Windows 10. And so he's provided a link to the Xbox user voice forums. And so we'll put this in the show notes, and you could go and this is a place where you can kind of complain to Microsoft about things that they should change, that you would prefer that they do. Sort of like an Xbox wish list.
Can I say get rid of the entire Xbox One interface?
Just get rid of the whole thing.
Just scrap it. Just start over. Stop the tiles.
Bring the blades back for Xbox One.
Really, I would be all game for that. I am all.
You'd
for
end up
the
having
blades.
45 blades. It'd be
yeah,
obscene.
they couldn't put 16 ads on it.
That's true. You'd run all that.
We couldn't have anything that's ad free.
So he also says, hey, another note. I don't have a Fitbit, but if you guys start a group, I'll join. Just tell me which version I gotta buy.
Hey, we should get sponsored by Fitbit.
We could. It's a movement.
Oh, by the way, Freem, I changed my profile and added you now. So
I saw that.
I was actually invisible to begin with, but I didn't have to change much. I still
can't see your tracking, though.
Oh, I'll fix that.
Is it because you're at 0?
No.
Is that because you're not wearing it?
No, it was in my backpack for a couple of weeks and I forgot to wear it, but now I'm remembering again now that I've got some motivation. So actually today, what do I have today? I have 3.5 miles today.
God, I wish I had to walk places.
Yeah, see, I don't have a car, so it's really easy for me.
I remember in college, like I was money because I had to walk all over the place. Oh, I guess I'm at 3.5 miles too. How many steps is that?
It's like 7,500 for me, but I'm kind of tall.
In your face, 7639. You better start walking in place to make up that 140 steps.
74 for me. So.
Oh, and there it tells me too, my sleep, 3 hours and 39 minutes.
I don't do sleep on my. I've just got the cheap one because
that's why I wanted it in the first place. I don't really care about the steps. I want to know about my sleep, and it just is confirming my sleep is terrible.
Yeah, that's why I got mine. It's like, yep, you sleep badly. Oh, thanks.
Thanks, appreciate that.
Yeah, I've done 1,000 steps today. Apparently, I'm not really sure how I did that because I haven't left the house.
Oh, yeah, I forgot you're in the middle of the day.
Yeah,
it's like, oh my God, it's like 11 p.m. and you only did 1,000
I was
steps.
thinking the same thing, too. Like, how do you even do that few? It's like, I don't ever leave my house. And usually, because I get up and walk around all the time in my house, even though it's, like, super tiny.
What, so you don't use a wheelchair like normal people?
No, but I mean, I just, like, I don't usually stay sitting down for long periods of time. So I get up and I walk around all the time. And even on days that if I just leave it in because when I'm at home, I just wear pajama pants. I always wear pajama pants. So just throw it in my pajama pants pocket and I just walk around. And I still usually get like 5,000-6,000 steps just without even leaving the house.
There you have it.
I did leave the house today. I went for a walk today.
Good for you. Hey, you know who else has been working out? Tim Blair. This guy is just filled with gems. Of course, he gave us he gave us one of our emails that was fantastic.
Yeah.
But he said, "Hey, I listened to the new Z to Z podcast at the gym today and got name dropped. These mortals have no idea who they lift amongst. Hashtag kind of a big deal." Good on you, Tim. Show those
gotta show those mortals,
those meatheads. You're the big deal.
See, you should have announced it to the gym. Be like, hey, I just got my name dropped in the Z to Z podcast while I was at the gym.
Yeah.
You guys should go listen to the Z to Z podcast, and maybe it can happen to you. Then you won't be a mortal anymore. You'll be cool like me.
That's right. Fantastic. All right. So, Urban, what do you got here?
There was just a mention on the blog just regarding the Destiny issue. We talked about DLC that it was the question about buying DLC that didn't have achievements, and I think I mentioned on the side of that Destiny had the TTK DLC was a bit too expensive for me anyway. But he's mentioned that you can apparently get access to the Taken King content just by borrowing a physical copy of that upgrade version. So potentially there's a way around, or a way to essentially get that DLC on the cheap, so to speak, if you've already got the game. It's kind of a moot issue for me now because I think I've got access to yours, Brandon. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. So certainly something to check out if there's anybody else out there who's been holding off getting the Taken King.
The Legendary Edition or whatever, that disc has.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
So you just pop it in and then you have it.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah. So that might be a way to get around it.
It seems too easy, but I don't know. Maybe it's so you don't get locked into your character or something. Like if you have content from that and then you don't own it.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Yeah,
but anyway, it's certainly worth checking out anyway if you're still after that particular DLC.
For sure. Yeah, so I got a private message from Eraser NL, the guy who knocked me out of my own contest in the UHH. Well, apparently he decided to listen to the show since he's like, hey, I just whooped Freemhole's butt in this contest. I might as well see what he's all about. And he said, hey there, just managed to find some time to listen to the podcast. Usually there's always somebody online to talk to, but not today, so I decided to go with the podcast. So I guess we're last resort for him. But hey, you know what? Better than not happening at all. Says, totally sucks about your identity theft, which, yeah, that does suck. And he hopes everything can get sorted out. But he was talking about the games that we had in common, where with Titanfall and Child of Light, which were just awesome to get back and revisit. He said he went back and 100%ed them. He's like, yeah, they were great. I got the itch to go back and finish those things off. And then Numa's on there too. I mean, of course, that's a short game, so that's not a big deal. But he's looking at this week, and things definitely stepped up for him. I've looked at his score already, and he looks like he's in pretty good shape going into the weekend. But he just, again, wanted to say thanks for the competition. He really enjoyed it. And then he's curious about how the end is going to be. And I think we've talked about this before, about kind of keeping your eye on what these final lists are going to look like, because you're already seeing now in the third week of these that the lists are starting to get pretty hairy for a lot of people. And you're really seeing some of these higher ratios or more complicated ratios climbing in there. And people are starting to learn the system of, I think somebody made a roadmap on how to be most effective, and it's go through and complete all of the campaigns in the games that are on your card so that you've got essentially an end-of-game save, and you could go, chapter select and find that specific achievement you need, versus those games that have 0 achievements on them that you have to start from scratch, because it's
a lot of work though, just for a competition.
No, yeah, but knowing
but there
are
some people out there who'll do that. So yeah, kudos to them. I don't think I've got the time personally to do it, and probably a lot of people don't have the time to do that. And with my game collection as well, that's just never going to happen.
Yeah, I definitely don't either.
I was going to say, though, on the topic of identity theft, I just remembered this. I'm going to say it before I forget, because I will. By the time this episode airs, I should be a permanent resident of the United States.
Hey,
which is kind of exciting.
Awesome.
So
on the topic of identity theft,
so you too can have your theft stolen, your identity stolen from the IRS.
That can happen already. I was issued a social security number like a month ago, so you can steal my identity if you can figure out who I am.
Hey, wait a minute. Why don't you give me that number and see if it's mine? Because I lost my identity about a month ago. Yeah,
don't worry. It was a new number. It wasn't an illegal one. So.
I gotcha.
See, this was the legal number.
Good. So, okay, you're not going to start earning income that I have to pay taxes on.
Exactly.
That'd be fantastic. I had a friend feed here from McLovin Legend. He just wanted to plug his own little thing, and I don't know if there'll be any left by the time this thing airs, but he was giving away free PAL games. And he's got too much crap in his house. He wants to get rid of them. So, you check out McLovin Legend's blog. This is the second time he's done it this month. I don't know why he's spring cleaning so much, but, I looked at his list. Nothing that, interests me. And he's in the UK, so I don't know where he wants to ship to, but
I had a look as well, and unfortunately, I pretty much had everything that he had on offer. But and it looked like it was going pretty fast, so it's quite highly likely they won't be around anyway by the time we get to it. But maybe he'll have more giveaways.
It's entirely possible. So yeah, and Official Floor jumped on my friend feed today. He said he listened to 15, but he doesn't really have anything to say beyond that. He says, maybe we need a fourth host in case one of us can't make it. It seems less interesting when there's just 2 of us. It's not a you thing. It's that just most of the podcasts he's listened to seem to work better with 3 people better than 2. I could see either way. You probably fill in the air better with 3, but you also can stomp on each other a little bit more. Angel SK jumps in and says, well, if they stop recording when I'm asleep, then I can be on a stupid time zone garbage. Big L says, hey, I agree with Fecal. 3 is better than 2. Well, not number 2. Sorry, Fecal.
Ugh.
And, of course, Facial says, yeah, Big Lots and I seem to agree on quite a lot. So we got 2 people who think they like our 3-man shows better than our 2-man shows.
I think I like 3, but I mean, I don't find the 2s not totally quiet or anything,
I would say I agree. Actually, I found even just looking at the Achievement Hounds podcasts with Kyle and Rav and
Eric.
Eric, that's right. there would be some shows where there'd only be two of them, and it just seemed to sort of miss that little bit of something that kind of made it all work. So with the three of them, it really worked well. But you certainly notice when it was just down to two. And I wonder if it's the same kind of thing with us. I guess we've all got to kind of got things that we add to the conversation, and if one of us is missing, that element is just simply missing from the conversation, so it's not quite as good.
I'm not allowed to travel anymore.
Well, and it's just you have like opportunities to think about what you want to say and find a home, slide it in there, be able to interject your statement where if it's just back and forth, you're really, it's a game of tennis, right? You're really relying on your partner to help you keep the conversation moving. But with a third person in there, now you've got a hacky sack circle and you kick the ball up in the middle and you hope someone else takes it.
Yeah. No, I do think 3 is better, for sure. And, maybe if we could get time zones worked out, it's hard to coordinate time zones.
It's hard to coordinate time zones across 3 continents, especially.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
and
hard
then
enough.
You throw some kids in the mix.
Yeah, it's hard enough with Australia to the US, but also adding the UK, we get very, very narrow bands of time that we can actually record, so... it's tricky. We do try and get 3 on each show if we can, though. So 2's generally not. 2's an anomaly, and that's usually just because we've sort of exhausted other opportunities. So
yeah,
that is the truth.
We do try behind the scenes. There's lots of behind the scenes you guys don't see because.
Oh, it's a well-oiled machine.
We're super cool, and we have a secret clubhouse, and you guys can't see it. But we assure you that in that secret clubhouse, lots is going on.
No casuals allowed.
Exactly.
Filthy casuals. Hey, Blue Thunder reached out to me on my on a private message. He said, "Hey, you guys been talking about Windows Phone on the show, and I wanted to give some support for the Windows Phone." He said he got his about 3 years ago for $50 at Walmart, and he loves it. He says, "Yeah, sure, a few of the games are a little glitchy but most of them work great, and he travels a lot, so it's a great way to pass the time." And he currently has 20,567 gamer score in just his phone. He says, totally worth it for me. So
I wonder what I'm at in phone. I'm kind of interested now.
That's actually quite a lot on the phone.
There's a crap ton on the phone, because aren't they capped at like 200?
Yeah, they're 200.
Well, some are 300 now, but pretty much.
With quote DLC, unquote.
Yeah.
But yeah, 200 is the base. They don't have the 400 or 1000 like the XBLA titles do, so they pretty much always 200 base.
So I've got 8,700 on Windows Phone.
Yeah, 20,000. That's like 200 completed games, or 100 completed games. That's a lot.
I've got 45 games, and 3 are not complete. So yeah, that's a lot, because I play a fair bit of Windows Phone because I usually play it when I'm like traveling. I don't travel that much, but I travel enough to get a decent number of Windows Phone completions.
Yeah, and I don't travel at all, so I'm rarely ever out of my city.
And I guess also when I commute to school, I don't drive, so I take the subway, which is like an hour. So I get some good Windows Phone time in there, too.
Yeah, it turns out people get really pissed when you're playing phone games driving into work. Yeah. It's like, what's your deal?
I could see that.
I gotta do my Rayman here.
Yeah,
Settle down.
I guess that
Get out of my way.
Falls into unhealthy gaming habits, perhaps.
Yeah.
Well, at least I'm falling asleep while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Well, that's double a safety.
I'll never see it coming. Hey, so Big L also jumped out on my my private message.
That guy.
That guy. He made a comment on when we talked about playing games properly. He said, "Hey, looks like I touched a nerve when I said that he wants to play games proper." He wants to elaborate a little bit, because we kind of jumped on his throat about there's not one way to play video games. He says he's not one of those snobby completionist guys. His completion percentage is about 55%.
Oh, is that aimed at me, Big L? Come on. One of those snobby completionist guys?
Yeah, probably. He says he's as guilty as game hopping as anyone else, and he's like, when somebody has 99 completion percentage, he actually envies those people, not because that percentage is high, but because they can actually focus on the games and finish them off. And that's what, and he says he lacks that focus. I lack that focus. It's hard to do that. But so what his clarification is on playing games properly is specifically regarding campaigns. You're supposed to play a campaign from beginning to end, collect the entire story. He provides the example of you wouldn't go and watch the first 20 minutes of Back to the Future and then 20 minutes of Ghostbusters, and then when it's getting good, you go and watch something else. It's like, enjoy the ride until it's complete, and then, you want to revisit the game, sure, jump around, do all that kind of stuff. But he's referring to enjoying what the developer has put forth as the cohesive storyline. Now, again, that is for campaign-driven games. Games that don't revolve around that, well, then you don't have to adhere by that. But that's what he meant by playing a game proper, and I'll give him a little bit more leeway on that explanation, because I will admit when I had to get an achievement in BioShock for taking a picture. That's about 10-15% into the game, pretty early on in the game, but you've got to play for 3-4 hours, and at that point you definitely know how good that game is and what the story is doing, and you've collected enough audio logs to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm really into this. And when you get that achievement that you were looking for, it's like, oh gosh, I kind of want to keep playing this now.
And then that twist hits you.
Yeah, so then you move on, and now I still have that thing sitting there, and it's like, well, now I got to relearn how to play and get back into it. And it's like, I really do want to get back and focus and put in that last 15 hours or 10 hours to finish off BioShock, So I get that.
Would you kindly finish that game so that we can actually talk about it?
Talk about spoilers.
The twist.
I'll have to.
Do you not know the twist yet?
No,
I don't.
No.
You gotta do it.
I know. I've been on radio silence.
Just play it. Just get some headphones, put them on. Just play it. Just disregard all of your responsibilities and play BioShock. This is a time where it's okay.
He also
an exception.
Signs off his private message saying, so he wants to get back and really focus on his campaigns. He says, I'm going to probably just go play WWE 2K16 instead because, sweaty half-naked men rule. And signs off El Gordo, his wrestling name.
I just want to know, too, I even made my wife play BioShock. That's how passionate I am about BioShock.
The thing is, though, is I'm just treading water until Quantum Break, and I'm going to, get into it.
You got to play BioShock first.
I can't finish it before Tuesday.
Oh, it comes out Tuesday? I'm behind on the times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Well, you
That's
could.
Gonna be awesome.
BioShock's not that long. It's probably 15 hours.
Not happening.
No? Okay.
I got a ton of stuff to do. You'll hear about it in my goals. Trust me.
All right.
Throw them out. Finish BioShock.
All right. So, Cursed Souls.
We got Cursed Souls sent us a tweet thanking you, Terrigan, for conducting the Smirnov interview and getting some insight into his gaming life. It was great. Did you have fun doing it?
Yeah, it was good. Certainly one of the very first interviews that I've actually done, so I think it came out pretty well. And it was really good to chat with Smirnov as well. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah, sounds like it. Yeah, it came together really well. What NBA Kirkland have to say about it?
He said, good interview with Smirmar. That's actually a little bit of a nod back to the Smirnov's
name.
Naming origin. I learned to program on an Atari 800. Lots of good games and memories on that system. So,
And actually, when that was recorded, wouldn't it have been Smurjan?
Would have been, actually. Yeah, so I wonder what had happened after the first year went by.
I don't know.
Smurjan 2.
So,
anyway.
We had talked about that last episode. I went onto the United States iTunes store and found some iTunes reviews. And then, of course, our monthly email shows up like the day after we record. And we totally missed 3 reviews on the UK side of it. So to our UK iTunes listeners, thank you so much for those iTunes reviews. We got 3 of them, and I want to shed light on those. Back on February 29th. So sorry, Kaiba Chaos.
Good old leap year.
Yeah, he's already enamored himself with the show through comments and everything, but he has given us reviews. Says, it hasn't been since the Gamerscore podcast that I've discovered a podcast dedicated to achievements. Thank you. And only 30 minutes into the 2nd episode, but I know I'm going to keep listening. He even went to forgot password on his Apple account just to write the review. So thanks for that little extra step. We appreciate you going out of your way, Kaiba. And on the very next day, then, March 1st, Chisnall says, finally, a decent podcast with in-depth discussions of achievements. Also, great news on up-and-coming games and good tips on the old ones. Great job, guys. Keep it up. Finally, March 3rd, Quinny, 1989, 89, 89. That's actually kind of fun to say. It looks obnoxious, but when you say it, it's kind of fun. He said, hey, I heard about this on the TA podcast, which I actually just heard, too. Thank you, Rich and Jack and Dave, for mentioning us. He said, so I gave it a try. Content is good. Some points can be a bit labored at times, though, and some of the episodes are pushing 2.5 to 3 hours, which is a bit too much for me. I only listen to podcasts on the way home from work in like 30 to 40-minute intervals. So that's just my opinion, but I prefer Brandon as the main host because at the time, Terrigan jumped in on the second one. Just finally finished the 2nd episode and was pleased to hear him take over again for the 3rd, so keep up the good work. He's hopefully still listening and is enjoying the entire ride since the 3rd. But, hey, I think we got a great mix between all of us.
I have a solution
What's
for
that?
his problem to length. He needs a longer commute.
Indeed.
That's a perfect solution.
Yeah.
Just take a couple laps around London, or I don't know where he's commuting from. UK is just London, right? It's just one city.
I mean, everyone there knows each other, right? It's just like Canada.
And Australia.
You're from Canada, you must know.
Yeah.
So and so, of course. We all know each other.
Let's see. So if Quinny is indeed starting from 1, hit 2, wrote the review on 2, and barely touched 3, and now we're on 16, and he's hearing his review, hopefully we can convince you to go back and revisit that review. Hopefully we've established some sort of a rapport that you enjoy.
Those were pretty early days.
I think it was actually episode 3. I think was where we first kind of really felt that we gelled as a team. So I think
I was still on my headset mic. I wasn't even on the 2nd episode.
Anyway, early days.
The early days, back in our infancy,
back in my day,
right? But hey, that being said, we are so happy that you guys went out and took the effort and wrote a review. We appreciate all the comments, all the feedback. So if any of you listeners out there still haven't and wish to support the show and continue to provide, give us incentive to provide great content and talk and have fun and do all this that we do, reviews are great because they help promote the show, get it to other people. Other ways to promote the show has been all of your retweets, your likes, your favorites, social media. You guys have been doing an awesome job on that and promoting the show that way. So thank you so much. We cannot thank you enough for all that you do to help the show out. So
yeah, it's all awesome.
It's been great. It's been absolutely great. All right, well, let's move into our feature content this week. We're going to start off. It's a new month. So we want to talk about what happened last month, especially in regards to leaderboard movements and changes in TA. So, Terrigan, what kind of information did you glean this last month?
Alrighty, well, I did a bit of a comparison between basically the top 50 movements on both the Gamerscore and TA leaderboards. So I guess the big news, which we've already discussed in previous episodes, was that Smirnov has taken the number 1 spot on the TA leaderboard. And he also, just during that month, he amassed a good 40,000 points of TA, which is actually pretty big number. I think the only times I've seen bigger than that are when Redemption was blowing a lot of his preloaded stuff for the things that happened towards the end of the GTA SC. So that's quite a phenomenal amount. A bit further down, just Redemption hit his 1 million in gamer score, but he also moved up to position 4 on the overall TA leaderboard too, overtaking Randall Thor. There's a few other movements further down which aren't too interesting, but if we have a look at the gamer score leaderboard, around in the top 10, there's been a couple of movements in the 6th and 7th and 8th and 9th place, as in one I think we mentioned already, which was Big Sexy One that overtook Randall Thor. And S. Drew 44 has overtaken Red Tanuki, so they've kind of swapped their positions around, but the top 5 has remained fairly static. So, yeah. There's a bunch more information there. I don't know if you've got the stats open yourselves, guys, there. Just have a look. But
I took a peek.
Yeah, bit further down the list.
Big Sexy's pretty darn close.
Sorry?
Big Sexy's pretty darn close to his 1 million.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's not far away.
Less than 4,000.
And he's, given he put on 13,000 gamer score last month, he should be due to hit his million this month. And certainly Randall Thor, if he keeps going at the rate he's going at, he seems to have slowed down quite a lot. He only put on like 2,500 gamer score last month, but he's still on track to hit his 1 million this month if he keeps going at that rate.
Right.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. The only other sort of big movers going down the list, we've got Raphael GRN. He jumped up 3 places from 23rd to 20th. And Neomaster 2005, who jumped from 45th to 42nd. There's actually a bunch there that are really close, around the 680,000 mark in gamer score. There's about 5 or 6 people there who are all sort of fighting that one out. Anyway, I plan to be a little bit more detailed with these stats and write these things up a bit more. I was a bit rushed today trying to get this all done in time, but that's what I'm trying to go for anyway, is to keep an eye on the big changes on these leaderboards from now on. And if there's other leaderboards as well that people are interested in, I can start tracking those too, and we'll see how we go from there.
Yeah, no, they looked cool. I mean, you could almost put those in the show notes and let people take a peek at them.
Yeah, I will. I'll put that up because you can see sort of there's kind of a bit of a heat map going on there with people who've scored in various ranges and the movements in the leaderboard itself. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, we're going to get into our Talking Zeds topic here. What exactly is a good gamer score, right? We just talked about the top 50 people on TA. Now, that's a pretty small percentage, but, I mean, there's some giant numbers up there. But what about all us rank and file people? You know, where do our gamer scores fall in the spectrum of all the people on TA? And when can you consider yourself, a good gamer or a serious achievement hunter or any of those types of subjective terms?
Yeah, I guess the big figure that most people tend to throw around is hitting your 100K. That seems to be where most people sort of draw the line between, okay, you're a serious gamer now versus a not so serious one. I would argue that line is actually quite a lot lower. Just looking at the comparison of the stats, 100K actually puts you in the top 11% of people on True Achievements, and given that True Achievements itself is also just a microcosm of the wider community, and in particular, it would be very highly biased towards people who also have high gamer scores. You would imagine that 100K is actually going to be in probably the top 5% or even less of people everywhere on the Xbox, just taking into account the full population. So 100K, I think, is actually a little bit of a high bar, because even if you're looking down at 75K, that's still just a touch in the sort of 20% mark. So it's 75K hits about the 81st percentile. So that means basically 81% of people have less than 75K on True Achievements. So it's interesting. I just sort of I drew some of those stats out there and posted them up for you guys earlier. It's just interesting the ranges there and just how few people actually have what we consider sort of low gamer scores. Like we would tend to think of 50 or 75K as being kind of low, but it's not really in comparison when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, the TA is currently tracking just over 300,000 people. We all know that there's a lot more than 300,000 Xboxes out there. Back on the 360 and now on the Xbox One, granted, yes, there's carryover, there's, overlap and things, but there's a lot of people who aren't on TA. But to your point, if you're interested in achievements and climbing that gamer score up, you likely are on a website like this. You'll probably find the odd, person somewhere who is sitting on 500,000 that we just didn't know about for some reason. I think that's very unlikely, but it is possible. I think what you're most likely going to see is a lot of these people on the very, very low end. And I was talking to you guys earlier about another podcast I was listening to, and the hosts were talking about True Achievements and that their names were on there, and one of the hosts was really excited about his 285 gamer score on the 30-day leaderboard. And I'm thinking, I got 0 achievements this week, but 280, you accidentally get 285 if you're gaming at any sort of regularity.
Certainly most listeners to the podcast would be like that, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, see, I would say for that, even if you're just playing through campaigns, you're probably going to hit that much in a week. Because, I did briefly mention this before the show, but I'll say it again, is when I first started gaming on the Xbox, I had a friend who had an Xbox about a year before I did. He got it almost at launch. And I was just kind of getting into it, and I was, at the time, when I discovered what achievements were, I really liked them. I thought they were cool. And so I was getting into it, and he had way more gamer score than anyone else in our group of friends, because we pretty much all had 360s. And he didn't care about gamer score. He just accidentally ended up at that. But he would rent a game once, twice a week, play through the campaign, and he would just get usually you get 200, 300, 400 gamer score from completing a campaign. So if you're playing playing through games, really, you should accidentally get that much gamer score, because I don't feel like that's changed. Usually when you beat a story, you get somewhere between 200 to 400 gamer score. I would, in a normal game that has 50 achievements, not some of the indie ones that have 10.
Yeah, certainly the indie games have not so much devalued it, but made getting bursts or big bursts of gamer score easier. But you have to be buying those games and be playing those games. If you're sort of the people who only play sort of the big AAA titles and you rent them or whatever, and just play through the campaign, yeah, you would be right. So a sort of 200 to 400 point haul is probably pretty typical.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm basing that on. I'm thinking a normal retail release with 50 achievements.
Yep.
You're probably going to get that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Even for somebody who's super casual, I think that's not that much. Not super casual, but casual in gamer score hunting, but plays games. So you play, a week is a reasonable amount of time to complete, a full campaign if it's long. If you're playing a few hours a day, you can probably get through a couple.
But I guess it's also worth keeping in mind that a lot of people who have consoles aren't playing it all the time. I've got friends at work who have consoles. I've had Xbox 360s or Xbox Ones, and the thing is that they'll get a game, they will play it for a week or two, and then they just will stop playing. They will go off and do other things. So they'll get their little burst of gamer score, and then just nothing happens. They're not even active on their console at all for weeks at a time. And I suspect that that's more of the normal use of a console, whereas you've then contrast that to pretty much everyone on True Achievements who are actively playing most of the time and are actively working on score. It's a real division between that. That's a true casual, is someone who basically just gets a game, plays it once, and then is not even playing or touching the Xbox again for a while. That is true casual gaming. I
guess I've just been in the True Achievements mindset for so long now. And even before True Achievements, my mindset was I play all the time. That's what I do. That's my hobby. When I have downtime, I play a game.
Yeah, and that's basically the hardcore gamer mindset, and that would be true of whatever console, whether you're playing on consoles or PCs or whatever you're doing, PCs, on the PC or whatever. Yeah, and I think most of the people on TA, particularly anybody in the top sort of 50% of the people on TA, and certainly us and the majority of our listeners would fall into that mindset of we prefer to be gaming when we've got our free time.
Yeah.
So if we just took that subset of people, though, the sort of hardcore gamer, what is considered a good gamer score for them? And that's where we would then look at the microcosm of TA and the stats. And even then, even having a score of 50,000 is actually still puts you quite high. Like you're at the 66th percentile there for 50,000 gamer score. So you're actually still better than half of the people on TA if you're at 50,000 gamer score.
I was thinking 50,000 is my line. It's like, okay, if you have 50,000 gamer score, you probably care about achievements to some extent.
Yeah.
Because 50,000 is going to take unless you've been playing on Xbox for a lot of years and you play a lot of games, you're probably not going to hit 50,000 unless you're trying.
Yeah, and I think for me, my 50,000 came before I started actually getting seriously into achievements. I think when I seriously decided to step up my game and start working on score specifically, I was around about 55, 60k, and that would have been after a good 5 years of playing. So that's 10k a year, and was even back then I was still a pretty hardcore gamer. I just wasn't aiming for achievements. So yeah, I would say that, you know, as someone who's not actively playing, and if you had an account for a long time, then 50k is probably a reasonable benchmark for a good sort of score. If you're actively trying to score, then yeah, you're looking up at the sort of 100k as kind of like maybe the benchmark of, okay, particularly if you've got a bit of history on your account. So if you've got a 5-year plus account, hitting 100k is kind of maybe the benchmark of, okay, I've stepped into, I'm trying to score now, perhaps. What do you think about that as a kind of a point?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we want to come up with a hard and fast number, and that's great. But I think a lot of it has to do with the time to get to that number. Because, you know, I look at my TA history, and for me to get 50,000 gamer score, I hit that July 2013. So I was sitting on an Xbox 360 for 7 years at that point, because I got it for a wedding gift in 2006. So over 7 years, it took me that long to get to 50,000 gamer score.
See,
now,
I think it's
3 years, and I've added an extra 50,000 on top of that.
I think it's really interesting that you bring up milestones, because as we were talking about this, I just brought mine up because I remember specifically when I really decided, there was a point when I was really unhappy with the updates in RuneScape, and I was like, okay, I'm going to stop playing RuneScape, and I'm going to try and get all of the online achievements in my gamertag. A goal which I'm still working on. Haven't made it yet. Now that Graw's done, I'm getting a lot closer. But so I brought up my stats, and when I joined TA, like you, I got my Xbox in 2006. That was when I started. I'm on the same gamertag. And I joined in February 2012. I had my first milestone was 75 games played, 1750 achievements won, 10 completed games, 60,000 TA score, and 40,000 gamer score. So I had 40,000 gamer score over,
6 years?
5 or 6 years, which is pretty bad.
Yeah.
And only 50% completion.
Yeah, I got my Xbox in late 2006, and I hit my 40,000 in like December 2011. So yeah,
so you're pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty close to you, stats wise, and yeah, it was just. I think this is probably for all of us. There was just going to be a turning point. Probably once something, we got the bug somewhere along the way.
When I found TA, that was it.
That's
because
pretty much it.
Then the stats were there. You got that completion percentage is always right there. It's like, look at that. You got gaming sessions. Gaming sessions were revolutionary to me. Because I was like, how am I going to find people to play this with? Because prior to discovering TA, I only knew of Xbox achievements that just had forums that no one looked at. And kind of thrown together guides that were kind of, I mean, they've gotten a little better on that. But TA was so much more organized and had all these stats. And I was like, this is brilliant. This is perfect. It tracked you. It actually, because that was a big thing too, is when I discovered TA, I was playing Red Dead Redemption that has 95 achievements. And the view of achievements on the 360 is horrible.
Oh, it's dreadful.
Especially with secrets and stuff. So I found TA and I'm like, this site tracks my achievements automatically. Because you can put them in on XBA.
Right. But
it takes forever. It's not even worth the time. So then I'm like, I can filter by achievements I don't have. That makes this so much easier. And then when I started being able to do that, then I'm like, oh, I can complete these. I was like, I can hide my completed stuff. I can see what I have left. I can sort by online, and like all this sorting and all these stats and this game and the gaming sessions. Then I met some people double boxing, and this was revolutionary. And then it just went. Then it just took off from there. It just went. It was like, okay, that's
like, wait,
this is brilliant.
There are Japanese consoles with games I can't get.
No, those I knew of. Because I had been collecting for many years at this point, and I knew of region codes and things like that. But the double boxing, I was like, this is brilliant. You just get another account, you get another Xbox, get more games. You don't have to deal with other people. See, that was the thing. It's like I can just play whenever I want. I don't have to show up at a certain time. I can just come. I can play like half an hour of Gears of War. Who cares?
Yeah.
That was the first one. I still haven't finished it. That was the first. That was what got me on double boxing, though. There was a group of people that all double boxed Gears of War, and they would let me join with a single, because I met one of them somewhere, and then they let me join with a single, and I was like, this is brilliant. This is the best thing. And they let me join, and I was like, okay, I'm getting another box, and I did. But I was a little behind.
All downhill from there.
And then I got another box, and I was like, oh well, I can do Quake like this. I only need 4. So then I bought 4.
Yeah, only 4.
I got 4 accounts, and I'm like, oh well, now I can get a PAL box. Like, oh well, one of my other boxes broke, so I'll get another PAL box. And then I got a Japan box, and I got an Xbox One, and it just keeps going. And that's what TA does to you.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like and I wish it was on here, but you look at your graph of your milestones or whatever, track your gamer score, track your mine is actually pretty linear. Like, I've been steadily gaining.
Mine is too. It's very, very straight.
But you know why? Because I found TA at the start of that line.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's why it's set off in this trajectory. I mean, this is really a story of 2 phases, because if you look at then what that line looks like prior to March of 2011,
there is somewhere where you can find that though on TA.
Look at your offlines or whatever.
Where is it? I found it before.
There's Gamerstat leaderboards which go back into previous years, I think, now as well. So
it can go.
Yeah,
all
it
the way
looks
back.
like maybe there's not a graph, but there are stats based on your timestamps. But it's kind of hard to tell too, because I did a lot of before doing TA. I did a lot of offline play. So when I joined TA, there was this big spike because they're all on date found. So then obviously they're found the day that you start TA. So that's a little hard, but
I mean, I could go back to my period summaries, right? All of 2007, I scored 190 gamer score.
Whew.
Like,
wow, I did that. I did that in 3 months in 2006.
It was all in November, and it was playing Oblivion.
Let's
well,
see,
you know why?
all
because
of 2006. What did I get?
That's when I got live.
Yep.
I got 10 gamer score for 29 points in 2006.
Oof, nice.
I believe one of those was in Gra, actually. Because I'm getting close. See, I considered finishing Gra on the 10-year anniversary of starting it. because it's close. It's in December, but that's too long.
Yeah.
I don't want to wait till December.
Okay.
In 2007, I got 2650.
Yeah, I got about the same actually, and it seems like the years there I got about 6.5 in 2008, but it's only really in about 7.5 2009. But it's only really once I hit 2011 that it really started to take off. So I think I went from 8,000 in 2010, then 16,000 in 2011, and then 25,000 in 2012, and it kind of spiked up from there. But yeah, again, that would correspond with true achievements, and it would correspond with getting the bug. So
I think it also, for me at least, corresponds with the number of good games that came out. Because you look at 2006, there was nothing. Like, there was, for me, when I got my Xbox, there were 2 games I wanted. Sonic 06, which, looking back, that was my first 360 game, was Sonic 06. Actually, I think I had the Burger King games prior to that. But when I bought my console, I bought the console and I bought Sonic. And Dead Rising was the other one, which, looking back, I really should have got Dead Rising first. Because then, like, I got Sonic 06. I was like, yeah, okay, it's decent. At the time, I thought it was decent. It was not. Going back, that game is I still haven't finished it. It's probably been more than 10 years on that one. I'll get it one day. And then, because I was one of the first of my friends to get a 360, and then I went to my friend's place and was like, man, we should get Dead Rising. So I think we, like, went halves on it or something. And then I brought my Xbox over and we played Dead Rising all weekend. And that was much better. Super good game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love
I was
Dead
just looking
Rising.
at I thought I had a lot more offline than I did, but I've only got 3,700 gamer score offline. So
That's not too bad.
That's not much at all.
I think I played almost all of Call of Duty 4 offline. Because I played that one when I traveled. I had a little portable DVD player that I could hook something into that would receive an input as well as having an output. I still use it, actually, as a screen for one of my extra boxes when I'm boosting. But I did a lot on that. I did a bunch of Saints Row offline. But then, like, I think it was around, like, 2008 when there were, like, when not only did a bunch of my friends have 360s at that point, but there were a lot of games that were coming out that were good. Because it kind of takes that, because the 360 came out really early in comparison to the PlayStation. And then the Wii. Like, I got a Wii before I got a 360, and then I was like, this is not...
That was a mistake.
Like, the concept is cool, but it just was not executed well. Like, the precision was just not there, and I was like, okay, I'm getting a 360 when I get some money, because that's better. And it was. And that was possibly a terrible mistake. I don't know.
So what were you, about 6 at the time?
Yeah, something like that.
We do have to mention Spazpol. So Damien's comment says, a good gamer score is 0 gamer score. It means you don't play video games and you have a better hobby like hiking, swimming, or heavy drinking.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about that. But he also comes back and says, hey, but in all seriousness, on his score question, his bar for a decent gamer score is 50,000, like we were talking. But that's 50,000 per year of your tag. And so if you have a 6-year-old tag, you should be at 300,000. Again, I think it comes down to the timing. It comes down to, when is that time that you found TA and at what that rate is. And I think that's steep, his rate at which
I
you're
think
gaining.
For me,
and the thing there as well, how long has the Xbox, like the achievement system, been around for? 2006. It's 10 years old, so that would mean that anybody who was, if everybody was earning at a decent rate, everybody would have 500,000 gamer score.
and 50,000 back in the first year.
Yeah,
That's tough.
but the thing is that let's take that and take a look at the stats again. 500K is in the 99.94 percentile on True Achievements. There's only 192 people with that score or higher on True Achievements, so that's actually a phenomenally high amount.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, if you look at that and you say, okay, think how many people got it at launch, how many of those people care about achievements? It's probably less than the number of people that have that. So, maybe
I mean,
if you've always cared about achievements, maybe that's kind of a reasonable benchmark.
there was a time where I played so much Call of Duty that I wasn't earning achievements. They didn't have anything in multiplayer for that, so you're just mopping up noobs and doing that for 6 months, right?
Yeah,
I'm not scoring anything.
I put a fair, as shameful to say it, but I put a fair number of hours in Modern Warfare 2. And yeah, no achievements.
Right.
But that's what all my friends played, and that was back when I played games with people.
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in those days.
All right, so let's come up with a final number that we all feel. Do we all think 50,000 is kind of our number?
I think 50,000, regardless of age, shows that you care about achievements. Maybe you're not super hardcore, but it's enough that you're probably not getting there without caring for achievements at least a bit.
I think if you're at 50,000, if you're on a 10-year-old tag like I am and you have 50,000, it says that you're a fairly casual gamer, but you do play games through to completion. So you're not someone who just picks up a game and fiddles around with it for a bit and then puts it down and then doesn't play for another month or two. 50,000, it's 10,000 a year. That's 10 full games a year that you play through. So generally that will mean you're playing more than 10 games a year because you're not going to get the 1K.
Wouldn't that be 5 games a year?
Yeah, sorry. It would be 5 games a year, but it means you're going to be playing more than five games a year because you're not going to get the full 1K in all of those games. So that's kind of I would say that 50K is probably, for an account that's 10 years old, that's probably a rough sort of average score. For someone who's a reasonable gamer. If you're going above that, particularly also if you're a fairly new account, if you've only been around for the last 2 or 3 years and you've got 50,000, that's a good effort. You actually are trying to score, I would say.
Yeah.
It really depends on the age. 100K has always been kind of the bar I think a lot of people use. It's basically getting hound status according to the achievement hounds. But it's kind of interesting to note there that True Achievements, Rich, he only hit his 100,000, I think, a year ago, sometime last year. So, yeah. And he's the whole inventor of the entire concept of True Achievements and essentially scoring for points. So, I don't think it's necessarily a hard and fast bar of where someone who really does like the game should sit. But as far as someone who likes to get points, well, I've got other friends. I've got a friend, and I won't mention their name, but they got caught by that. There was a bunch of games that were released in an off-market on Microsoft, one of the Xbox Live marketplaces, and you could download some games for free if you changed your region or you made an account in that particular region. And a whole bunch of people ended up getting banned because it was marketplace fraud. This person got his account banned, and he basically took that on the chin and said, fair enough. And he started a brand new account probably 2.5 years ago, and he's already over 200,000. So it really is a matter of just how much you dedicate yourself to doing it and how much time you have, of course. But certainly you can get a lot of points in a very short amount of time if you want to. So yeah, on balance, the 100K is probably not a bad sort of middle point there, but it really does depend on the age of the account, I would say.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think my thing with 100K is you've got a serious collection too. You don't just care about scoring. You've got a lot of games on top of that. It's getting easier now with games with gold.
I was going to say that. A lot of it though, it's when you did it, because I would say getting to 100,000 now versus 3 years ago was significantly more challenging.
Pretty
3
much
years ago.
Pre-Xbox, first year of Xbox One, nothing came out.
Right.
But second year of Xbox One is when all the shovelware started flowing in.
Oh yeah.
And then it got way easier.
Yep.
It's a lot cheaper too, because a lot of those games are $5-6.
Yeah.
Some of them are 25, which is crazy to me, but.
So, and just to cap this thing off, I'm looking at my friend feed here, right? And you got that bar on the side about all your friends' scores or whatever. And let's see. You'll find me down at number 70 on my own list of friends out of 100 people on here, right? So, like,
Yep.
it's just this is the community we're in, and so yeah, it's great. You can compare to all these other people and stuff, but keep in mind, we're talking about the cream of the crop here on people who are committed to this hobby of looking for achievements, getting gamer score, and the other beautiful thing about it is there's so many different ways to go. You could go for that completion. You could go for true achieve. The rare games, the rare achievements. You can,
because my thing is, I personally don't really care about gamer score. I'm all about true achievement score and completion percentage. A little bit about ratio. I like I like to be above 2. That's my point, but I'm way above that now, so I can drop it a little. But yeah, I don't know, because I think if you have, like me, where I'm almost at 400,000 true achievement score, but I'm still ways off of even 200,000 gamer score, and I go for completion percent. Well, this kind of gets back to your weighted scoreboard.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that is a better measure of kind of your score. Maybe even divide it by the number of years of your tag or something. But it's, yeah, I don't know.
That's interesting.
I think that's part of it too.
You were mentioning 400k in TA score. That actually, if you hit 400k in TA score, that actually puts you at the 99th percentile, 99.02 percentile. So it means that 99% of TA would have less than that.
Yeah, which I didn't even realize that it's like that high, because right now I'm sitting at 368,500 TA score.
Yeah, and 300 is the 97th and change percentile. So yeah,
and that's with 170,000 gamer score. So
I guess it might actually be interesting, just the getting that weighting of completion and ratio and gamer score is in some kind of super duper leaderboard. Might be an interesting way to
some crazy math.
Yeah.
Whatever formula puts me in the top 10.
Yeah, although I guess
multiplied by the number of children you have.
Right.
Taking the true achievement score and using the completion percentage as a modifier on that's probably the closest to that, because you're getting true achievement score is of course based on gamer score in the first place. It's the gamer score by ratio. So yeah, I guess that's probably the closest we get to that kind of optimal score.
And then I guess you could throw a number of years of your gamer tag in there. That's easy, just divide it. But
yep,
your weighted TA score per year.
Yeah,
would be quite a leaderboard.
So maybe I'll draw up some stats for that sort of stuff for a follow-up show, perhaps. Maybe for the next leaderboard round.
Yeah, stats are fun.
Yeah, hey, and speaking of that, we have a Z2Z podcast leaderboard on TrueAchievements.com. Why don't you get on that leaderboard, and we could start putting your names into our little database here and start playing with our numbers, and you can see how you stack up with other Z2Z listeners.
Sure, and I can modify. I've actually got a similar thing for the Achievement Hounds podcast, where I actually track their leaderboard and all the changes on it. I can set up a similar thing for the Z2Z leaderboard too.
Fantastic. Well, let's move into news proper. Just kind of a smattering of things here to discuss. One thing I wanted to mention, which I was actually pretty excited about, was a collection of domain names registered through Square Enix. They love their Go series, and so Deus Ex Go, Life is Strange Go, and Just Cause Go have all been registered.
I can sort of get Deus Ex and Just Cause, but I'm not really sure I understand how Life is Strange Go is going to work.
Maybe they're just planning for the future.
And that could be the case. But even with Hitman Go and Lara Croft Go, like, those were pretty unique takes on, action-type games into more of a puzzle element. And so you get creative people behind it. I think you can come up with something pretty cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I still haven't played Hitman Go. I bought it like 2 years ago, but I'll get to it one day.
After
Seems cool though.
They're fun.
Exactly. Afterglow. No, it looks cool though. I like the concept, especially for Hitman. It seems very appropriate for Hitman because
very
it's
tactical.
it's very almost board game like in itself.
Yeah.
Because you have to, you know where everything is. Everything's moving. You got to move in. I don't know. I like it. I like the take.
Right. So, what do you have to say about Major Nelson here, Terrigan?
Yeah, I was just cruising the Xbox One Reddit, and I saw this picture. Somebody sent an Xbox One off for repair and received it back. I don't know if you've got it open in front of you there, but basically,
I saw it. It was pretty dreadful.
Yeah, it's looking at the picture of it, or the pictures, because it's happening to the front of the console as well. It looks like it's. I'm not even sure how that happened. It's like the box has been worn in little patches across the top. It almost looks like a heat damage, like somebody's put a grill down on top of it. And then
it looks to me like somebody at GameStop warehouse took it and they were like, this is a disc. It needs to be resurfaced.
Yeah.
So we're going to put it in the resurface machine.
But they just buffed it in little lines. And
they did. It's like they took something like that, like a buffing thing, and just went at it on the plastic for no apparent reason.
Yeah, and
this will fix it.
And on the front as well, so it's weird. So this guy's posted in there. But the very first post was Major Nelson saying, certainly not the way you would expect to receive it back, and basically asks the person to send him an email direct with the description and the support ticket. So, I just thought that was worth noting that Major Nelson jumping straight in there and sorting out that issue. So he's a great guy. And definitely
maybe we should send him an email.
Yeah.
We got his email address.
Well, that's true. Now everybody's got his email address.
Nice. All right. So let's head down under, and you try to defend your... I guess it's not you. It's Australia standing up for themselves. Yeah,
well, Valve were found to be making misleading representations about their consumer guarantees, and particularly about things like their no refund policy and so forth. Now, this is interesting to me because, or particularly to me, because I got stung by them removing the Xbox Live component from Batman. From two of the copies of the games that I bought off them, and was unable to get a refund, even though they'd effectively, in my mind, they'd taken away functionality of the game, and one of the main reasons I bought the game. And Valve support generally pretty
doesn't exist.
Yeah, they're not great, and they take weeks to get back to you.
Hey, you can go to the community forums and have somebody we don't pay sort it out for you.
Yeah, or
I really hate Valve, by the way.
Or we're not.
Can't tell.
No, we're not going to refund. If you want to, you can just send a lawyer if you want to try and do anything. Kind of attitude, and it's like, yeah, great, thanks, guys. But yeah, they were actually found to be in breach of Australian consumer laws with some of the wordings of some of their their end user sort of agreements, and I don't know what the fallout of that will be. But yeah, it's interesting, and I guess if it's happened here, then it could certainly happen in other jurisdictions and other countries.
Hope so.
And we'll see what happens. And hopefully, if they are forced to do refunds, then maybe I'll actually finally get a refund on Batman.
Well, they did implement that refund system where if you've played it for less than 2 hours, you can get a refund or something.
Yeah,
but it's still like the biggest thing with them is like, okay, you take probably 30% of like 99% of all PC sales, and you have like 110 employees. Like, really, you can't employ some customer service people to deal with your system sucking? Like, I've had people, like friends, that bought games on... This has happened to two separate friends for two separate games. They bought a game on Steam, and it did not have a CD key. And what do? Nothing, because you can't do anything. Because Steam sucks. Hate Steam. Really, this is a rant now.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of Steam, primarily because I don't like the forced upgrade policy that they have. Which basically, you can't play the game until you do the upgrade, which is okay. That's fine if you're on a console, but don't take away functionality of the game when you do that.
Then play it offline. Let you play it offline. Like, the thing with Steam is like, okay, we're paying you money for you to have full control of all these things that I can't, like, so I could pirate it and it's better, or I could pay for it and be restricted.
Yeah, and I guess that gets into the argument of, there has to be a balance between what's good for publishers versus what's good for consumers, because if every game was pirated to exclusion, then nobody would release games. So yeah, there has to be a balance in that particular particular thing.
And I think you have a company like Good Old Games that does it right. You sell games, people will buy them. If they're priced right, people will buy them. And they have no DRM. You just buy it, download it, good to go. Don't have to be locked out. Don't have any stupid things. You just buy it. Yeah. Now, I don't know what the piracy rates are, but even on Steam, I know we got an email from I think it was the publisher of Punch Club, and I think they were like 1 million copies pirated and 300,000 sold, and I believe that game is on PC exclusive to Steam. So, like, even though it's on Steam, people are still pirating it like crazy. That included Android stats too. It was pirated a lot on Android, and iOS, but still, like, people are still pirating it. And honestly, with Steam's horrible DRM controlling, awful thing.
So don't hold back.
I don't
say what you really mean.
I don't blame them. I despise Steam.
Okay.
And people ask me, people say like, "Oh, why do you hate Steam?" I could go, and I tell them I don't go off on Steam. I'm going off on Steam right now because this is Crandy's Rants. This is what's happened when we talk about Steam. I tell them, no, I'm not going to talk about Steam because I could literally go on forever about why I hate Steam.
Don't get me started.
It sounds like you're letting off some steam.
Really.
Then, all right, maybe we should move on and let Cranky calm down a bit.
I really hate Steam with a passion. Way too much control over things that you pay. Oh, also, if you get banned, you lose everything. It's gone, and there's no appeal. That's it. They decided that you modded something that you didn't do. Yeah, no, you're done. You got $10,000 worth of games. Who cares? You'll never see them again.
It's pretty heavy-handed.
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
hate it.
Hey, I had a friend reach out on a private message to me. Nexus Plexus, he's buddy I used to play Call of Duty with. He said, "Hey, what's up, Frame? Wanted to share something that he heard on IGN's podcast, and I had heard this too in the news. It also got me excited. The announcement of Shadow of Mordor 2 is floating around out there. Maybe we see something at E3. I know that the developer just lost his battle with cancer. One of the I think he was an executive producer. Gosh, I forgot, but. So I was a little nervous that the project would not continue. Suffice it to say, this is good news. I'm looking forward to this. There was a lot of sequel news that came out this week that was fun. So yeah, he also then throws in, "Hey, cheers and keep up the good work on the podcast." So thanks, Nate. I appreciate that. We also had a little sneak peek on Lego Batman.
The movie?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's a movie.
So it's a game of a movie. No. A movie of a game of a movie. Or is Lego Batman not a movie?
Lego Batman is not a movie, but it's kind of it's a movie of a game of a comic.
But
a Lego version of a game of a comic.
Yes.
I didn't watch this. Is it which Lego Batman is it? Is it like the DC Comics Lego Batman, or is it the Lego movie Batman, the Will Arnett Batman?
I don't know, actually.
Because that one was hilarious.
Yeah, I think
because there was the Lego movie.
Yeah, and Batman featured in that. So it looked, just from the stills, it looked more like Lego Batman, the game style.
Okay.
So, yeah, I guess we'll see how that pans out. But
interesting.
We can wait for the inevitable Lego Batman, the movie, the game, to come out.
So that's a game of a movie
of a game
of a Lego version of a game,
which is internal
of a game
Lego movie
of a Lego
of a
version
comic.
of a comic book. Ooh, that's a mess.
All right. Hey, Cran, do you want to take our Killer Instinct news?
Yeah, so for those of you that want to play Killer Instinct on PC and Xbox, by the way, it doesn't stack. I was kind of bittersweet on that because I kind of wanted to do it again, but at the same time, it's like 300 achievements. Plus, it won't run on my computer, so... But anyway, if you want to play on Windows, for some reason they didn't set this up very well. It's really stupid. You have to sign in on Xbox One with the new 22-point-something gigabyte update, by the way. You have to sign in on Xbox to make your save compatible with Windows 10, but if you sign in on Windows 10 before you do that, it makes a new save that then they're just separate forever for some reason.
Yeah.
So they don't sync up at any point. You can't delete it.
I think it's because it's using a cloud.
Stuck.
It's using some kind of cloud save or some updated cloud save, which is then shared with the Windows 10 version. And I suspect the update just turns it on for the Xbox One version, and it will then sync. If there is no save in that particular cloud state already, it will then sync that save to that cloud point. But if you start the Windows 10 version first, it writes into that cloud space first, and Xbox One will just see that and won't override it. So yeah, It probably was just one of those little technical hiccups they had when they were moving to that particular cloud system. So
yeah, well, maybe they'll fix it, but
or at least
if not,
find a way to be able to remove the save in the Windows 10 version so that you can go back. There might be a way for that at some point.
See, the thing with that though, that I think is really unfortunate, that the people that don't have Xboxes anymore. Like if you play Killer Instinct, say in Season 1,
then you cannot get your progress.
You sold your Xbox broke, and you switched to PC. Well, it got to start over. So I think that's kind of unfortunate. Upside though, all your characters and stuff transfer over, so that's cool. You only have to buy it once.
Yep.
So your purchases are shared. But yeah, so if you're gonna play Killer Instinct on PC, start it up on Xbox first. It sucks you have to wait for the update, but it's probably worth it.
And yeah, you'd be downloading the update anyway if you're into Killer Instinct.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so this last one, there was a conference recently called the Microsoft Build Conference, and had some interesting news that there was a bunch of stuff announced and talked about, but there was a few takeaways that I thought were relevant for us. Firstly, as was touted long ago, any Xbox One can now be a dev kit. You can actually now download a preview of a tool that will turn your Xbox One into a developer kit, so you can start developing Xbox One titles with any Xbox.
Big Rig's trucking. Here we come.
Exactly. Other news was basically that Microsoft are essentially admitting defeat on mobile, so for Windows Phone, the OS that is. But what that does mean is that they are looking at being more cross-platform with their titles, which could mean potentially more Xbox-enabled or Xbox Live-enabled titles on iOS and Android. So I thought that was interesting. It's kind of sad, I guess, in terms of Windows Phone itself. The OS is not sort of, it's not getting the love it does or does not deserve, depending on who you ask. But that they will be at least supporting mobile in some form or another, and hopefully with games with achievements as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to get some Android achievements that go toward my actual gamer score.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of been a long time coming, though. Like, Windows Phone is just, I feel like, has been, at least in the consumer space, pretty far behind.
Yeah, and certainly it hasn't. The OS has not made a dent in the market. They can't make inroads on iOS and Android. It's just not happening.
Part of the problem is there's just nothing available because nobody even bothers developing for it because nobody has it, and the OS itself is, I think, just terrible.
Yeah, well, I can actually say even as where I work, we have an app, and we have one for iOS and for Android, but we don't even think about targeting Windows Phone, just simply because the market share there is less than 1% or something like that for our particular space. There's no point doing it. If people need it on that platform, they can use a web-based version of the same sort of tool. So yeah, it's not worth the time and effort for us to do that.
And Microsoft themselves, even for a long time, didn't support it. Like, there was no Skype for Windows Phone until almost Windows Phone 8. And Skype has been owned by Microsoft for many years now. So that's pretty bad when a very critical service, Skype, that pretty much everyone uses Skype to some extent, does not have an app or an alternative on your phone.
Yeah.
Your service on your OS is not there.
Yep. Yeah, so I don't know. They've sort of anyway. They've basically said, "Yep, we're not going to win this battle," and they're going to start releasing. I think the shot I saw, they had basically a picture of they've got an app that releases under the Universal Windows platform, which is on Windows Phone, but then that runs in another thing called Xamarin, which is essentially cross both iOS and Android, and I think the same app will then run on both. And that's where they're sort of playing on, where they're moving.
So did they say anything about the current Windows devices that are out there? Are they still going to kind of leave those going for a few years, or are they going to pull a Windows Phone 7.8 and kill it off instantly?
Given that they were talking about releasing for both sides at once, so they were releasing on Windows Phone as well as iOS and Android, I would say that it's still going to be supporting Windows Phone for some time. And I mean, they've only really just released Windows Phone 10 proper.
That's what I was kind of thinking.
So yeah, it's still going to be supported for a while, but it looks like the focus is really on where the consumers are, I guess, and so iOS and Android will be the way of the future, along with support backwards for the Universal Windows platform and everything that goes along with that.
It's kind of interesting seeing that too, because like you see now, the other kind of bottom of the OS pile, BlackBerry, is done. Like BlackBerry OS, BlackBerry's released their last phone. Their most recent phone. I don't know if it's actually going to be their last phone.
Yeah, I thought BlackBerries, the newer BlackBerries, all went to Android anyway.
Well, yeah, that's what I was just going to say. The Priv, which is their newest one that I have, is Android, and it's fantastic. They use their good hardware with software that isn't terrible. I mean, BlackBerry OS is secure, but it doesn't do anything.
It's secure because it can't do anything.
Exactly. So they, as far as I know, have killed that off, aside from, previous devices that they're still manufacturing. They're just not making any new ones.
Yeah. And
they've gone to Android, which I think is a great move. I absolutely love it. Fantastic phone. But not with BlackBerry OS. I would not have bought that phone with BlackBerry OS. I'll tell you that.
All right, well, we should...
Sorry, the last little takeaway from that was that the HoloLens is actually shipping to developers proper now. So there's some movement there. So
yeah, for sure.
See, I've got a lot more interest in HoloLens than like regular VR, because I think HoloLens does a lot more cool stuff.
Yeah, certainly some interesting stuff there. They had like essentially a teleportation kind of device where basically you'd have two people standing in two distinct locations with the same kind of room set up, and it would be able to teleport a picture of one person into the other room through the HoloLens, and you would basically be able to talk and interact with that person as if they were in that room, and they would sit down on a chair in their space, which is the same in your space, and it would actually look like they're right there. So there was some interesting tech there. That stuff's not going to happen. For most consumers, I don't think anytime soon, but it's interesting that it's out there.
I'm thinking like multi-box boosting. Like you can have like fake like the HoloLens TVs. You can get like 9 of them going.
Yeah,
you can see all of them at once.
Nice.
See, just hope it has like 9 HDMI ports.
Yeah, the future is so open.
The future of multi-boxing. HoloLens. Have all the TVs you want. Well, because I saw something with HoloLens. I don't remember where it was, but they had Halo 5 going on a fake TV.
Yeah, it was one of the developer, the showcases they did a while back. But yeah,
yeah, I thought that was really cool, and it stayed in place, like it was on the wall, and you could move around,
anchor it to a wall, and you move around. Yeah.
Super cool.
Anyway, we should move on.
Absolutely. Let's wrap this thing up. We'll get into our final closing features here. This week we got it's Shovelware Cemetery week, and before we move into that, we had a friend feed item from Big L. That guy said episode 15 was nice. I got to be honest, I don't understand the point of Shovelware Cemetery for PC games when you got stuff like Goat Simulator and Qbot just sitting right there. He said Screen Sheet was a good choice, though, aside from hearing Damien and Crandy talk all over each other, though. Lol. Chuckle. Lols. Get some new codes from some ID developers. Well, we're working on it, Big L.
Well, see, in the super cool Secret Clubhouse, we've actually got a huge backlog of ID codes, and I just haven't had time to get to them.
Yep.
And on the topic of Goat Simulator, that's a whole show. That's a whole rant. Goat Simulator, not for Shovelware Cemetery, for me having a really big problem with Goat Simulator. So maybe we'll do that for a feature content.
It's goats. It's funny.
There's a whole
Okay.
I could do a chart of my problems with Goat Simulator.
We'll get to that on the show.
We will get to that. It's on my list. It's just a matter of when. I need to kind of flesh it out and do it proper, so it's not just a mess of me rambling and being angry.
All right. So on to this week's Shovelware Cemetery then.
Welcome to this week's Shovelware Cemetery. Today I'm going to be covering Guitar Hero Live. So we kind of talked about this less formally in an earlier episode, and I wanted to formally take it to the cemetery, give it the cemetery treatment, and just have that out there. So when I do these, I usually make a list. As I play the game, I just have a little pad of paper. I kind of take notes on things I want to talk about. So I started with one sheet, and then I filled it up and got to another sheet because as I played some this morning, I remembered how much I absolutely hate this game. So it is published by Activision, developed by Freestyle Games, the people who brought you DJ Hero and DJ Hero 2, the two games nobody liked. And it was courtesy of my wallet, and I regret to say that I bought this on launch day. I knew it was going to be terrible, but I bought it anyway, twice. So I'll start off with its kind of first thing is the full motion video, which hasn't been seen since the mid-90s, I think. And I'm a fan of 90s primitive technology. I like full motion video. I think it's kind of goofy and funny, but that's why I like it. So I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of a neat thing. Well, it's horrible. It's not the good, like the Sega CD, CDI stuff. It's horrible. So what makes it horrible is not that it's full motion video. It's the acting that's in the full motion video. The effect is actually all right. But you have these people in these videos that are just absolutely over the top in all aspects. Like, there's one show in particular that I remember where a guy has one of the performers that's allegedly singing this song has climbed up the side of the stage with the wired microphone, holding off the side with one arm, singing into the microphone. Nobody does that. That's stupid. Plus, the lip syncing is absolutely terrible. The instrument playing is terrible. But it's just awful. Like, I cannot describe how awful all of it is. You just have to don't play it, but if you do, you'll understand. There's also a DJ Hero turntable in one of the DJ table things. Which, I guess it's kind of a. If you like DJ Hero, I don't know if anyone likes DJ Hero, but that's there. So next on my list is the invisible hammer-ons and pull-offs. That's a good one. This is one of my favorites. So initially, when I first started playing the game, I thought they actually completely disappeared. So I think it's 50 notes, you have a note that turns gold. And it tells you that when you hit it, it tells you got a 50 note, 100 note, 150 note streak or whatever. Well, that note makes, if it's a hammer-on or pull-off, it's gone. It just looks gold. It looks like any other note, so there's no way to tell. You just have to guess. So that's stupid. Also, when you use star power, all of the notes turn blue. Hammer-ons and pull-offs are blue. No way to tell. At least that's what I thought. So it turns out, this is months later, I just recently discovered this, that if you look at the bottom of the note, there's a little tiny extra glow when you're using star power to tell if it's a hammer-on or pull-off. So it might as well not show any of them. It's stupid, a horrible, horrible design. Then there's Guitar Hero TV, which is another kind of good concept. Streaming Guitar Hero service, just gone horribly wrong. So the concept is you have this whole library of games, you've got these channels, you can sign in, you don't have to download them, you just sign in and stream them. Just like that. No problem, right? No, it's horrible, doesn't work, and it's filled with microtransactions. So the concept is fantastic. It's like you just, it's like MTV, you go on, just playing a song, you play along. Except that it lags. Like, you know how streaming gaming was like, oh, you can play Crysis with any computer, which was a great concept, but it just doesn't work because there's too much lag. It doesn't work. Same thing with Guitar Hero TV. Now think of that. If you can't play Crysis properly, do you think you can play a rhythm game that lets you calibrate to the millisecond? No, you can't. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Concept is good, doesn't work. Microtransaction. They microtransaction you to death. You cannot buy the songs on GHTV. You can buy plays for the songs that work one time, or you can buy a 24-hour pass that gives you unlimited plays of the catalog. So, yeah, you can't buy them. If you want to play a song more than once, you got to use more plays. You can earn coins by playing songs on the channels. The channels are free, but you don't get to pick what you play. So, and then you can also buy Hero Cash or something for real money to do that, and that's stupid. The dongle for the guitars, we'll get into the hardware. The guitars are multi-platform. Good concept. You can use them on any platform, but they have a stupid USB dongle. I don't know why you need a USB dongle. Like, it's really stupid. So you got these little dongles that are console specific, and if you lose it, you might as well throw your guitar away because they won't give you another one. You have to buy the whole game again, or a new guitar. I guess they sell individual guitars now, but yeah. So you can sync it up with you can sync any guitar up with any dongle except for iOS because that one's Bluetooth. So that's kind of stupid. Now, the biggest problem with the dongle is not that it's a dongle. It's that its range is like 30 centimeters. If you're more than 30 centimeters away from the dongle, you're going to get lag. So, if you're going to buy this game and play it, you should probably also get a very long USB extension so you can put the dongle right beside you. Because if you don't do that, you're going to get even more lag than you already get, and even worse calibration than you already get. So that brings me on to calibration is horrible. Every time you play, it's different, almost without exception. Partly, I think, because of the dongle, partly because this is a terrible game. So that's self-explanatory. There's no practice mode. It doesn't really need to be a practice mode because all the songs are lame and you don't want to play them more than once anyway. So yeah, I don't know why both that and Rock Band 4 can practice mode. If you did actually want to get good at the game, it'd be very difficult and impossible because it lags all the time. We have next the Highway. Oh, this is a good one. So the notes on the Highway, I feel like they're kind of counterintuitive. You have the top row look like black picks, and the bottom row look like white picks. And they're just...
they're really, because of their shape, they're really hard to read when you have a lot of them on screen and switching quickly. Now, the notes where you hold the top and bottom on the same position on the neck, those are 2 lines, like in Rock Band. And that would have actually worked really well, because they could have had 2 heights, kind of like what Rocksmith does, if you've played Rocksmith, where everything is a bar of a different color and it has a slightly different height, so when you have a lot of them together, they're much easier to read. These are not easy to read. They don't have varying heights. They just point in different directions. Really stupid. Hate it. Ambiguous hitbox. That's another one. I still can't figure out where the hitbox is because the game lags so much and there's no clear... It's not like the old Guitar Heroes where there's like a clear definition of where the hitbox is. So that's lame. They also brought back open notes. Nobody liked those, I don't think. There's open notes too. Onto the guitar hardware. That's a really horrible one. It's not the worst guitar, I don't think. Maybe it is. I don't know. They've had enough experience, they should be able to make a decent guitar. No, it is the worst guitar. I take that back. It is the worst guitar. The strum bar is okay. It's modeled like the Guitar Hero 5 guitar with lower quality components. So it's got the bigger strum bar. And after you get... I'm at about 300,000 strums, and it's been squeaking since about 150,000. So, yeah, that's a blast. Just having the squeaky strum bar. It's kind of loose, too. It's kind of... I don't know why. It's kind of fallen off its middle bit. And then they expect you to strum 1,000,000 times for an achievement, so I don't know if it's going to make it. And the buttons. The buttons are the worst part of this. So, in a regular Guitar Hero guitar, the buttons are like... They press down, and no matter where you press them, they press down evenly. So, they're not... They're just a round or square button that pushes straight down. Now, these ones are like an L-shaped button. So, underneath most of each button, there's nothing. There's no switch that it presses down, unlike the old guitars. So, if you press a button on the very edge, it's really, really hard to press down because of the angle it's at. Because the L part, like the stick, like the little stick of an L, is the only part where the button is. So if you push down on the end, it doesn't really push the button in, and it makes the button really hard to press. So it just makes playing awful. And also, when you're pushing 2 down at the same time, because they're so hard to press down, if you push top and the bottom on the same position on the neck, it's really hard to do, and especially when you're doing... There's some songs, you have a lot of those that you have to change quickly, and it doesn't work. Horrible guitar, worst guitar they've made. Achievements, the worst. Absolutely terrible. Probably about 100 hours for the completion if you're good. Like if you played Expert on old Guitar Heroes, this is probably going to take you about 100 hours. If not, it's going to take you even longer. You need to get things like use 1,000 hero powers in Guitar Hero TV, which is like star power. But in Guitar Hero TV, you don't just get all of the star powers you normally would. You have to upgrade your guitar for coins. So until you spend like a week's worth of plays worth of coins on guitar upgrades, you're not going to get everything or maximize your score. So that makes it take even longer. Then there's achievements for playtime, like play 24 hours in Guitar Hero TV, and that's only when you're in the song actually playing. You can't idle it. You have to actually be playing or holding down a button or something, which ends up taking about 50 hours with all the loading times and delays and things like that. So, and then on top of those, even worse, is 1,000,000 strums. There's an achievement for 1,000,000 strums in Guitar Hero TV. Now, fortunately, that's not notes hit. You can just go in a song, you can't fail, and just strum. So it's really horrible, but it's not as bad as it would be if you had to hit 1,000,000 notes. The offline set list is just the worst. The worst of probably any music game I've ever played. It has 42 songs. That's it. 42 songs. That's like almost That's like 2 Rock Band track packs. 42 songs. And the selection is terrible. Now, I won't go into my personal music preferences, but in terms of like difficulty and what I think of fun songs to play in Rock Band and Guitar Hero are songs with a lot of variation in the song, and then of course like harder songs. So those tend to be kind of fast, like hard rock, metal songs. Don't have to be, but that's usually what they tend to be. So what they put in this game was a bunch of indie rock, pop, really easy songs, and it also includes a song from Skrillex. Yep, song from Skrillex. Now, when I saw that in pre-release, I mean, I knew this game was going to be bad as soon as they announced it, but when they announced that was a new low for them. So, summarize, Guitar Hero Live is like it was made by a team of people that enjoyed to casually play Guitar Hero 3 over beers in their dorm 2 years after it was new and kind of dead, like 2 years after it was released, past, and then they never made it past medium. And then they're like, hey, we're really big Guitar Hero fans. We played it once in a while over beers and never made it past medium. Let's make a Guitar Hero game, and that's what Guitar Hero Live is. It gets buried, needless to say. And that concludes Shovelware Cemetery for this week.
Great, and with because Shovelware Cemetery means we take the week off of Gamerscore Boot Camp, but we never take a week off of Knobs and Discos. So let's move into that now. Of course, that guy Big L came back again and said,
"What is it with that guy?
He's all over the place.
That guy,
the big elephant in the room." Serious suggestion though. Knobs and Discos should feature a way to tweet or email the publishers to try and get these things fixed, so that everyone can work together to to make these things better. Together. And we kind of had to talk about this, and we don't. Let's put it this way: some people on the internet can be a little negative. Yeah.
Well, I'm a little negative. Because I am a negative Nancy after all, but a different kind of negative.
And
an
so
abusive negative.
I think people. It's more that people jump to incorrect conclusions and then rant in offensive language and abuse and harass, and that's the kind of thing I'd want to try and avoid. So I think we sort of discussed off air that it's a great suggestion, and I think for big publishers or big games, that's probably a path we will take. We'll certainly encourage people to contact the EAs or contact the Microsofts about these kind of things. But for little ID developers, indie developers, and so forth, it's probably not as useful. And I think reaching out, just the show reaching out, is probably a better way to go. Certainly, I've had success with reaching out to, say, the 3/4 Soma developer, and I mean, there's other developers I'll reach out to as they come up.
And especially with these independent developers too, is we do have a good number of contacts with a lot of independent studios, so it may end up that we have a direct contact with someone there and can talk, and more than just a tweet. And we can get it out there and bring it to their attention.
And I think that's probably going to be more useful in those situations anyway, because that's a direct line. For the big publishers, though, getting that kind of direct line or getting the attention on those kind of problems is harder, and that's why having an aggregate or a larger group of people going, hey, this is a problem, and waving their hands in the air might be more effective. But I don't think it's really useful to be badgering a single developer working on an indie game who is also working a job 40 hours a week, and he does this in his spare time, to be harassed by 50,000 people trying to battle him over his achievements not working. So
as an independent developer myself, working on Big Rig's Truckin' and all, I'm definitely a real developer. You can send all your complaints my way. I won't look at any of them.
Yep. And that's the other side of it too, is that after somebody gets, if you're the only person who's receiving the mail and you see 2,000 odd messages from people complaining about achievements, you're not going to go and read them all. You're probably going to go and put a lot of them into the bin after reading the first 5, and they're all the same thing. So it really doesn't achieve much, I don't think.
It's interesting that you say that too, because kind of back to
person I want to have on the show. I was listening to an interview a while ago with Lauren Lanning, and he was saying that's basically, he doesn't look at Twitter for that reason. It's like, or very rarely looks at Twitter because he just goes on Twitter and it's a bunch of people complaining about nothing, basically. And, and just really overreacting to little things. So he's like, okay, it's not going to look at it. Like, if it's because it's just like, it's stressful. You don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because you're already working Oddworld is bigger for an independent studio, but they do really strive to stay independent. And as a result, you got to work some long hours sometimes and work and work and work.
And the last thing you want after a 60-hour week is to come home and then read, somebody basically ripping into your game and
exactly
abusing your family and your life choices. It's just like, it's just not what you want to read.
Yeah. So I like that. Do you guys think you disagree?
Yeah. So anyway, I think if we do that, we'll be certainly putting contacts forward for major developers, but we'll try and be a little bit more discreet, I guess, with other independent developers in particular. Perfect. Moving on.
All right, on to our knobs and discos.
Yeah, well, Project Spark, I had a bit of a, I forget exactly what put this onto my radar, but I think it was discussed in one of the UHH contest feeds. I think somebody ended up with one of these achievements on their list, and it hasn't actually been marked as discontinued or anything like that as yet, but it's one of those weird cases where it probably should be. But it's been a long ongoing issue, basically, where a lot of these achievements, or the achievements for the Conquer and Ceph DLC, is kind of getting stuck on the done unlocking phase and has been set there for months. And the feeling that I get particularly from noises from the developer themselves, Team Dakota, is that they're not going to get fixed. And Team Dakota itself is also in a bit of a state of flux.
It's actually been explicitly stated by Team Dakota that they will not be fixed because they just simply do not have the resources.
Yeah, well, I read that more. The context of that particular thing was that I read they were in a maintenance mode, and my suspicion is that Team Dakota itself was being essentially sort of semi-disbanded internally, right. Which also fits with them vanishing from the Microsoft Studios page. So the maintenance mode, another thing there as well is title update 17, I think, for the game is overdue by months, and it was basically pulled at the last second before it was going to get released for some reason, which wasn't really spelt out, and then it's just been on hold. So I think things are going on behind the scenes with Team Dakota that we don't know about. It looks like there's not really many resources there for anything except for just making sure it's still ticking over and that the lights are turned on. But getting things like achievements fixed is not going to happen, at least in the...
We even saw recently too, the servers went down for about a week.
Yeah.
It wasn't intentional. They stated somewhere, I don't remember where it was, but you get 6 months notice on Spark before the service goes down.
Yeah. So this was an outage, and it just due to their resourcing, they couldn't get it back for a week. So that sort of says, there's something going on there that's taking a lot of the time away from actually doing anything particularly like running a Project Spark. So yeah, it's a bit sad.
And I mean, I don't know, but I imagine something like that's probably, you flip the switch off, flip the switch on, good to go.
Yeah,
I don't know how servers work, but
yeah, it depends what the problem was, I guess.
That being said, I would probably tick this up on your list of maybe revisit sooner than later.
Yeah, for sure. I think you can play a lot of it offline and get a lot of the things offline, but there are a number of achievements, quite a number of achievements in both versions that do require some online component, and yeah.
And they're all very high TA.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because I was actually planning to complete this game, start and complete it, but now that these are there, probably not.
Yeah, so you might want to hold off, and
if they get fixed, maybe.
Yeah, but if they do, I would say get it done in a hurry, and it might be a game to visit and try and get as much out of now before it completely goes away.
And it may be one of those things where a lot of the functionality goes away before it's the official notice. Like,
Yeah.
like a lot of those games that tend to have those kind of community servers, and they just degrade over time and get worse and worse, and nobody does anything about it, and then they're just gone.
Yeah.
So, on a positive note, something that I never expected to happen, FIFA 12, which has had servers closed for a long time, had 2 discontinued achievements come back this week. Now, this isn't everything. There's still 2 more that are discontinued. But the EAS FC Youth Academy and EAS FC Starting 11 are back. They're apparently... There's something like loading progress from FIFA 16 or something. So I don't know if you need FIFA 16 to get them, but they connect to the server, kinda, and they pop. So if you need those achievements...
Go and get them.
Go check out the forums and solutions and stuff, because there's be more info. Also, we got Bling of the Road in Guitar Hero Live on 360 fixed. That one's been out for a while.
Yeah, they fixed the one version of that one, didn't they? And that the 360 one was still...
It actually always worked on the one.
Oh,
then
right.
they broke it in the first update on the 360, and then now they fixed it again 2 updates later.
Right.
Because what it was is nobody played the 360 version, and like one person reported to them, and they're like, "We had no idea this was broken, so we'll fix it next update."
Right.
Because like that's what it was. Is like they didn't even know, because there's like 2 people that play it on 360. Oh, that game's horrible. Don't play that game. But if you did make the mistake of buying it, it is fixed.
Okay.
And Pay It Forward in Darksiders 2 is broken again.
Yay.
This is another one of those community servers that just seems to not work too well.
It was part of THQ, and
Yeah,
once
it's-
THQ went bankrupt, they fell
Then
apart.
it was gone.
So
Then
then
Then it got brought back.
yeah,
full
Nordic
packs.
Games bought it and said, "Hey, we'll fix it," and they did, and it was up and good for a while, for quite a while.
Quite a while.
That's interesting.
And
I
now
wonder
it's
wonder
down
what's
again.
broken again.
Yeah. Because the first one, yeah, like you said, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But now it's just...
Well, especially since they just came out with the Definitive Edition.
Yeah, that
you
one
know.
I think still has unobtainable. That game is a mess from all reports I've
Yeah.
heard.
And maybe they're just overhauling the whole.
Or just canning it.
Could be that too.
I'm kind of thinking they might just can it.
Which is too
Who
bad. I
knows?
like those. Like Darksiders 3 would have been great.
And this was brought to our attention by Weasel Pizza. So thanks, Weasel Pizza, for bringing that to our attention. And
pizza.
Kaiba Chaos confirmed that it is also broken in the Japanese version. So both are broken. Makes sense. They're probably on the same server.
Yep.
And we got a bunch in Forza 3. Forza 3, all the online achievements went down without notice.
Right.
Gross.
Leaderboard's gone. Multiplayer gone. Everything's gone. So maybe contact. We'll start
Turn
next
10?
week.
Yeah.
We'll start next week with those.
Yeah. We weren't ready for that.
I didn't have time to do that this week. I did see the suggestion. I considered it, but I didn't quite have time this week.
So if we do, it's in the show notes.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm pretty busy this week, but we'll see. Okay,
Great.
that's it.
All
That's
right.
it for Knobs and Discos. So
Knobs and
we're on to
Discos.
backwards compatibility and game delays.
That's right. We had a slew of new backwards compatible games announced today or this week. Halo Wars, officially for everybody now. King of Fighters 98 Ultimate Match. Soul Calibur 2 HD Online. Left 4 Dead 2. Dead Space and Saints Row 4 all joined the backwards compatibility. We got a nice roll going here. I mean, like they're really kind of starting to hit. It's I don't know.
I know. It'd be nice if we get to the point where we see like one a day. That'd be cool.
Be pretty cool. Be pretty cool.
It's like what's
I'll-
backwards compatibility today?
Just note on the stacks front there, the Saints Row 4 Australian stack, I think, did come up on backwards compatibility, but I don't recall seeing Dead Space. There's I think the German version of that. I don't recall seeing that one.
The original Dead Space does not have a stack.
Ah, okay. Well, that would be
It's
why.
Dead Space 2. Yeah.
Yep.
But yes, I did see in the scanner emails that
Yeah, the
the
Australian.
Australian version of Saints Row got picked up.
Yep.
So I guess it's kind of looking like the Japanese version of Lego Batman's not coming out.
Yeah, and I never did get a response to my tweets from tweets at Mike Ibarra.
Yeah.
Damn that guy. No.
But yeah, so I don't know, because like that's the only one.
Yeah.
It's the only one that they haven't come out at the same time,
Yeah, so
which is interesting.
I'll
And
try and
and
follow
we-
that up again, because I know a lot of people would really want to play that. Although,
And
you
we
need the
did-
disc anyway. But
We did debunk the myth of the not working Xbox too.
that's
So
right.
it-
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a weird anomaly. Like that was just a one-off case of someone.
Yeah.
I'm thinking bootleg.
Just
personally.
to clarify, that was the myth is that the Japanese version of Lego Batman doesn't work in the Slim series, or sorry, the Slim series of
no,
Xbox
the
360.
slim series of non-Japanese NTSC-J boxes.
Yep.
But we did test that.
Yeah, basically we
And
have not
it
been able to
works
find an
fine.
Xbox 360 that Lego Batman doesn't work in that's NTSC-J. We just haven't found one. So it's basically in the probably completely a myth.
And it is, well, I don't think it's something that was put out there to, like, in a malicious way. I just think somebody got a bad disc.
Yeah, I would say
I think
so.
someone somewhere got a bad disc one time and assumed they were two different regions. And I really don't see why there would be a second Asian region console. It doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Anyway, that's another thing.
yeah.
Sure.
Moving on.
And then the final segment is our Zombie News Corner. Today's a little bit of a stretch, but I was at least intrigued enough by it, and it's the new DLC in Tomb Raider. Just came out this week, called Cold Darkness. The Cold Darkness Awakened, and it's like a survival horror DLC. They've got these like feral humans that, I mean, they've completely lost their humanity. They run around like infected zombies from the remake of Dawn of the Dead, where they run around all crazy fast and stuff.
I love that one.
Yeah,
That was a good one.
and it's like super dark, very, very atmospheric. This DLC. I mean, and for all intents and purposes, these are fast zombies that Lara Croft is dealing with here. Oh man, this is super cool. Like, I can't wait to get onto this. Anyway, they might not be zombies in the traditional sense, but we're close enough, and I think it sounds awesome.
Sounds pretty cool. I need to get to that game.
Yeah,
Looks good.
I need to revisit the original.
I need to get into the DLC for that. I've finished the main campaign off and done most of the work in that, but yeah, the DLC.
Always the issue. Well, let's we're gonna sign off now. Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast, because we had a blast recording it tonight. Again, anybody out there who can help out and give us reviews on your favorite podcast listening app, that would be fantastic. It really helps with the show. Of course, spreading the word on social media is also very much appreciated. You can visit our website, z2z.com. Right there, you're going to have our show notes, all the links and credits to everything we've talked about. They're quite thorough. Contacting us, Twitter, one of the best ways, at Z2Z, that's ZEDTOZED. Of course, we have an email, contact@z2z.com. There's the leaderboard over at trueachievements.com if you want to get in on Terrigan's fun stats job, whatever he's going to end up doing. I'm sure it'll be cool. And contests as well. I have every intention of reaching out to this community when I've got some ideas I want to play around with, do some test run type stuff. So if you're interested in that, be on the leaderboard. It helps me reach out. And I also want to give a quick